It's time for Twig This Week in Google. Stacy's here, Jeff's here, Ant's here. The whole crew is in the house for the first time in a couple of weeks, which is great. We have lots to talk about. Of course, Apple's big mistake. Who really owns your smartphone? And if it's a Samsung Galaxy Fold 3, can you afford $1,800 to own that smartphone? Also, is Uber really just a hoax, a scam, a con? It's all coming up next on Twig.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twig.
This is Twig. This Week in Google, episode 624, recorded Wednesday, August 11th, 2021. The Ladies Menu. This Week in Google is brought to you by Wealthfront. To get your first $5,000 managed for free for life, go to wealthfront.com/twig and start growing your savings today. It's time for Twig This Week in Google. We have the entire Googleverse spread before us, a movable feast. And to dine on this feast with us today, Ant Pruitt from Hands On Photography. A good day to you, sir.
A good day to you, sir. I don't know if I'm sharing the feast, though.
Oh, you're not? No?
I'm a little hungry.
Oh, then I won't tell you about the fact that Paul Thurrott is going tonight to the best restaurant in all of Mexico City.
I heard. I was listening to Windows Weekly today.
To have mole that has been cooking for 2,570 days.
Mole is my thing.
You can take the girl out of Texas, but you can't take the mole out of the meatloaf. It's Stacy Higginbotham. I don't know what that means.
Wait, what?
Stacy on IoT.
I don't know if I'm a meatloaf in this situation or a girl.
Where did that come from?
I don't know. I was just trying to alliterate. Sometimes I spit, but it doesn't come out right.
You could say the mole out of the mama.
Out of the mama. There you go. What is mole, Stacy? You tell us.
Oh my gosh. It's a blend of custom spices, usually some peanut, maybe some chocolate, all kinds of stuff ground up, served over chicken.
And the core ingredient is
chocolate.
Chocolate,
baby.
It doesn't have to be chocolate.
Oh, yeah, I guess
really?
it just means sauce, but I think you're right. I don't think it has to have chocolate. Yeah. But typically,
chocolate, peanuts, tomatoes, chilies.
It's an Aztec delicacy. I think chocolate was very common, of course. Anyway, he's going to have, I'm so jealous, a tasting menu with both, they call it Mama's Mole, the 2,750-day-old mole, and a Nuevo Mole, so that he can compare. So jealous. That's Jeff Jarvis over there on my left. He's the Leonard Tao Professor for Journalistic Innovation at the Craig Newmark Graduate School of Journalism at the City University of New York. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Good to see you all. I feel like it's been a long time since we've all been in the same room together. It has, hasn't it?
I bailed on you for like 2 weeks, so
yeah,
it's your fault, Stacey.
Did you go on vacation, do something fun? I hope anyway.
Yes, once was a migraine day, once was a vacation. Well, it was like an appointment day, but it was a fun appointment.
I hope you had fun.
I went to an escape room.
Oh, did you really?
Ooh.
Yeah.
How'd you like it?
It was my first time. I loved it. It was a really great experience. I went with my daughter, her best friend, and then my best friend was able to come. And
fun.
We had a 25% success rate, and we failed on the last clue, so we did not escape. It was very disappointing.
So what was the scenario of your escape room?
Ours was called The Experiment, and it was some guy working with sound waves, and we had to do a lot of cool stuff with sound and patterns.
We did a really fun, I think we kind of intended it as a team building exercise, escape room in San Francisco. So it was did you go, John? No, it was a bunch of people from work. And the scenario was, they had different ones, that there was going to be a nuclear meltdown, and we had to get to the cores and scram the cores before the meltdown. And there's a timer and stuff. And it's fun because there's puzzles, physical puzzles. It was really challenging. And you know what? The thing blew up 3 seconds before we got to it. It was so, so depressing. We were so close.
Oh,
but the couple that did this was very geeky. So they had VR helmets and drone. You had to pilot a drone. There was all sorts of really geeky stuff. It was really, really fun. I can't remember the name of it, and I really wonder if they're still there because I have to have a feeling this is a difficult business to survive.
Oh, that reminds me, the VR. Fired it up again yesterday for my niece, and Facebook is not necessarily required. It still works without a Facebook account.
Oh, hallelujah.
Yeah, you just can't get some of the other social aspects of it,
ironically, they have pulled the Oculus Quest 2 because people are getting big raccoon eyes from the mask. Apparently, they're allergic. So they've actually pulled it off the market. I also read a story, maybe it's a little overhyped, that there are people whose Facebook's account have been hacked. And of course, it's almost impossible to get anybody at Facebook to respond to this. You know, they have I've lost control of my account. There's this whole process. But I get calls all the time on the radio show. I can't get in. I've been trying for weeks and months. So at least one person went out, bought an Oculus Quest, then complained, got it fixed, and returned the Quest. So that's one solution. Buy a $300 device to get a Facebook's attention.
Wow.
Yeah. I would love a Quest, but I don't going to count on this loophole forever. They said they want you to have a Facebook account, so that was it for me.
Yeah, it works. It's just some.
Do you have one?
Yeah, some of the stuff. No, I had that Rift that you gave me, but it still works with
the original
just
one. Yeah,
the regular games that are local to my machine.
Fun. Yeah, they're fun.
And that's all I care about.
Yeah. Do you play Beat Saber? That's the one Michael likes. Yeah, it's really fun. Very active. Burke says he's one of the people who gets Oculus Quest raccoon eyes. He reacts to the foam.
Do they have? What do they have? Is it nickel?
It's a foam. I don't know. It's I doubt they put nickel in the foam, but you never know, right?
Never know.
You never know.
Well, that's a common allergy that people had with like smartwatches, but.
Well, what's the rubber glove stuff that people get allergic to?
Latex.
Maybe they have a latex
in it. That'd be more likely.
So you won't need a Facebook account for that Rift you have.
Nope.
But supposedly the Oculus 2 does. So Quest 2 does. So I don't know. I wouldn't count on it not needing an account. Mm-hmm. All right. We are doing all of this because we dragging our feet. We're going kicking and streaming.
You don't have to do it, Leo. You're the boss. It's not a democracy. You're the dictator. You don't have to do it. Just don't do it. It's okay.
There is a story this week that we have dealt with on every show.
And we're finally rounding it out here.
I'm so sick of it. I mean, we've said, look, everything that needed to be said. Stacey was great, by the way. Thank you for joining us Sunday on Twit. It was really nice to have you.
I felt so waffly. Just like, this is so nuanced.
Waffles.
Oh, that's true.
No, you were good. I thought you were really, really
You're the
good.
waffle queen.
But we were talking about, of course, Apple's, what Ben Thompson calls Apple's mistake in Stratechery. I think Ben kind of said it, and this was to me exactly my problem. Apple announced new protections against child pornography, CSAM detection. They announced, and that everybody agrees, they announced it poorly because they conflated three completely different technologies, and everybody assumed they're just kind of one thing. One of the technologies scans photos on iCloud photo storage using the database from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. They are a government founded and funded, but not a government organization. But they have a database of images, child pornography images, which they've created a perceptual hash with using computers. The idea of a perceptual hash is even if the picture is modified, made black and white or cropped, it should still show up. They measure distances in the picture and things like that. And they have a database of hashes, just numbers, fingerprints of these images, which Apple and others use. By the way, Google's been doing it on Google Drive. Google also does it in Gmail attachments. Facebook's done it for years. Dropbox. Most cloud providers do it, actually, which is they scan the images you store on the cloud. Most of the time, I believe during ingress and, so that they can be encrypted at rest, but as you're uploading them, they're not encrypted yet. They scan them on the way in. What they do is they run the similar perceptual hash technology. This came from Microsoft. They put it in the public domain, or they gave it away to NCMEC years ago, against these images to see if there's a match. Apple says one match won't do it. We want to avoid false positives, so there's a threshold. You have to have a certain number, which they won't say, of matches. If we see that many matches, we'll suspend your account, report you to National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Actually, there's one step in between. They will upload a copy of the image to a human at Apple who will look at it, verify that it is in fact child pornography, and then so somebody will see that image. Well, they're at all costs avoid false. I know.
Yes, exactly.
Terrible job. They want to at all costs avoid false positives. They don't want to accuse somebody incorrectly. So they say, doing this, we will have a 1 in a trillion chance of false positives, which is a completely made up number. How would you know? You don't know. But let's assume they've done a good job of that. Ben says, this is a good system. Apple kind of needed to do it. We were talking before the show. I don't want to steal a number from you, Jeff, but Facebook has been doing this. Last year in 2020, they reported 20.5 million images, child pornography images. Apple reported 265. So Apple has been avoiding it. They're certainly there. They've just been closing their eyes to it. And we all surmise that Apple has probably been under a lot of pressure to do something about this. So that's one thing they're doing. Another thing they're doing, which is, I think, problematic, and Ben says this is the mistake. They are also putting this NCMEC database on your phone. This will come with iOS 15, and phone and iPad, anything with iPad or iOS on it, and will then compare images on your device to compare the hashes, and with a similar result. That is really upsetting to people. They don't like the idea of Apple scanning their phones, something that you own, for any reason at all. There's a third thing. Devil's
advocate in a minute.
I just want to give you the lay of the land. Yeah. We've all heard this, but I'll try to do it fast. The third thing is something for kids. Images being sent to or sent by kids will be scanned in a completely separate way, unrelated to the NCMEC database or perceptual hashes, will be scanned by some technique Apple hasn't really specifically described for being pornographic, and not necessarily child pornography, but pornographic. And then the kid will be warned and say, you don't want to see this. And then if the kid says, no, I want to see it, and they say, well, you really don't want to see this. If you see this, we're going to have to tell your parents. And if the kid says, I don't care, it will then tell their parents. And the parents have to turn this on. I don't really have a problem with that, but I think that the fundamental issue Ben does have is none of this stuff should be happening on your phone. This isn't Apple's to do. And what the EFF, CDT, Matthew Green, many others have said, and there's a petition going around with, last time I checked, 7,000 signatures. I'm sure it's more than that, from some of the most prestigious cryptographers and internet thinkers, says this is a slippery slope. Apple, if you do this for child pornography, you've effectively announced that you have this technology. You will be put under intense pressure to do the same kind of thing for homosexual images in countries where it's illegal to be gay. For they worry, some are worried about trans kids who are in transition sending pictures and getting busted and beat by their parents, things like that. So that's in a nutshell. If I hope I've said that accurately. That
was a good explanation.
That's basically what's going on, and people are upset about it.
I'll do a devil's advocate here, putting my Leo hat on. Two things. One is either we mean it or we don't, that we want to stamp out all possibilities of child porn. And if we do, then we've got to acknowledge that priority. And if we don't really mean it, and it's only in certain places, then do we really mean it? Second point is the line between, as Google announces Tensor coming onto our phones, the line between, it's in the cloud or it's on their server, or it's on our phone, becomes more and more meaningless. And the back and forth of where things are and where they're analyzed for whatever reason is going to become more and more meaningless. So you could see a point where fine. I don't have to put any of my child porn photos up on the cloud. I can have tons of them on the device that Apple provides. And Apple has the mechanism to find it out and do something about it. And do we as a society, what's our priority here? The worry about the slippery slope, which Lord knows I always agree with and always worry about. But it's a classic case, as I think Stacey would say. We need to discuss this because there's two priorities here in conflict. And I think that there is an argument that says if we mean it about child porn, then we mean it about child porn, and it shouldn't be anywhere, and that we're all going to accede to this.
Anybody want to respond, or shall I?
Jeff did a great job with saying what I would say. So good job, Jeff. You're right.
Uh-oh.
I'm a little concerned because you were playing devil's advocate, but
we should, of course, establish that nobody here is arguing in favor of child porn.
Exactly.
Everybody agrees this is reprehensible.
Just how much do we mean it?
Yeah. Well, but this is my problem with what you said. You could say that about a lot of things. The question is, how far are you willing to go? Should I put a camera in your house to make sure that you're not looking at child porn in your private collection? That would work. Should I go that far? How far do I? The question is, how far do we want to go? And that's why in the United States, in the Constitution, there is an amendment to prevent unreasonable search and seizure. That there is it is presumed, I think, by that Fourth Amendment that, yeah, you could eliminate all crime if you were willing to keep station police in every house, but we don't do that. That we have a constitutional limit set on how far we'll go to stop all crime.
But we're about to have that world, and that's why we need to have these discussions, because when we have cameras everywhere, it is completely possible to say to someone, hey, you know what? You've been convicted. You're what do they call them? You have a history of sexual assault.
Or I don't know.
No, you're a predator. You're registered.
There you go.
Yeah, a registered sex offender.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
Sorry. So we might be able in the future, we could do it today, actually, say, hey, you know what? You're a registered sex offender.
That would be wrong.
We're going to need you to put this camera right
wrong?
here if you want access. But we already do things like take computer access and broadband access away from people who commit computer crimes.
But we don't go in their house and watch them.
Well, we don't today. It's possible that you could use things like, so the question is Apple's cloud your house? No. Is your phone your house?
Well, that's the fundamental question.
We've had, like, if you look at the way we're treating phones at the border, it's not your house.
Right.
If you look at
I have
during
problems
a
with
traffic
that
stop,
too, by the way.
Well, yeah, and that's why we need to talk about this, because we're about to have this
courts
ability.
Have done is suspend the Fourth Amendment in border crossings. They say it doesn't hold.
Right.
You're not protected.
So we need to have this conversation because we need to build new laws to meet us where we're at with the type of technology we have. And
so,
sorry,
Stacey.
I think the Constitution,
No.
Here's the thing. I think the Constitution is actually really good on this, and that you really shouldn't have, there is such a thing as unreasonable search and seizure. And the courts have been very good at saying, there's the line. Now, I agree, Stacey. I don't have I have no problem with cloud storage. That's my stuff on their computer. I have
But what about people who bring their computers into Best Buy? We've actually said, hey, if you bring your computer with child porn on it into Best Buy and Best Buy technicians find your child porn, they
have a duty to report in that case.
Yeah,
they don't have a choice. They have a duty to report. And that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. I have a problem with us snooping in people's private homes. But I think you raised a really interesting question. Somewhere in between their cloud and my home is this thing, this smartphone. What is that? And that's you raised a really interesting question there, Stacey.
On Floss Weekly this morning, Doc Searles and Sean Powers and Jonathan Bennett, they were talking about this because, it even made it to the open source show. But just the thought of what exactly do you own as the computer? Is if you own this phone, what are your rights to this? And can you just say, hey, I own this phone. I don't need you snooping on it. I know this says Apple iPhone, but this is my phone. You don't have the right to snoop on my phone. Versus going to, say, a Facebook and putting your stuff on Facebook servers, then Facebook says, you know what? Hey, we don't want this on our servers.
I think that is exactly the conversation going on in this country right now.
Yeah.
What protection should the phone have?
We've had it before. So watch out. Here comes a Jeff moment in history. Should we have a drum roll for this?
Wait a minute. Hold on. Let me get a drink.
It's a moment in history.
History. Little twirling thing.
Oh, bring back the harps, the medieval harps.
Yeah. So do we ever
Stacey,
get rid of them?
they never left.
No, they never left, Stacey. No. So
I appear on the show. I don't listen to it afterwards.
Yeah, no, I never hear it either. That's why I shouldn't be held responsible. Okay, go ahead.
That's right. So in my fun moments, and boy, I'm a fun guy, I am reading or just read The History and Present Condition of Newspaper and Periodical Press in the United States from the 1880 census.
Oh, boy.
And in 1835, the Postmaster General was dealing with the case where the southern states said that state laws restricted the circulation of incendiary newspapers. Guess what they were incendiary about? Abolitionist newspapers.
Oh.
And were requiring the U.S. Postal Service to find out what was in that mail, newspapers, but other things as well, and prevent its circulation into those states.
Wow.
So that, as President Jackson said, I must invite your attention to the painful excitement produced in the South by attempts to circulate through the mails inflammatory appeals addressed to the passions of the slaves in print and in various publications calculated to stimulate them to insurrection and to produce all the horrors of a servile war. So,
boy, Andrew Jackson was a real winner, real piece of work, wasn't he?
and then there's I'm now reading this book, which is really, really good. It's amazing. The Man Who Hated Woman, about Andrew Comstock, the guy who was at the Postal Service who tried to get rid of pornography and abortion and women's rights and free love and all this other stuff. So the Postal Service, right, was that same kind of analog here to your phone. Well, it's not your home yet.
I was under the impression they can't do that. Can they look through the mail?
Since then, your first class mail is sacrosanct except agast a warrant. This is the argument I've made many times on the show, but hey, I'm older. And
that's, by the way, how your house is protected as well. Because if there's reasonable cause, a judge can issue a warrant and police can come in and look for child porn.
But this is the problem with why the right was written to the technology of the U.S. mail first class rather than to the concept of private messaging. This is why your DMs and your emails are not protected like your first class U.S. mail is, because it was written to the technology and it's being enforced to the specific of, well, your U.S. mail first class is protected, but nothing else is. Now, in the mails itself, postcards, as we said a couple weeks ago, are not protected because they can be seen. And if Cliff Clavin sees you have child porn in your postcard, well, then Cliff has to turn you in. And neither newspapers, too, at the time, right? They were just being carried. And in fact, there was a time when newspapers were delivered free by the Postal Service within the same county within 30 miles. As a subsidy to newspapers, right? So there was a question there about, well, what's a newspaper or not? What's incendiary or not? What's subversive or not? And isn't that echoing what we have today in all of these discussions, whether it's political insurrection, as it was then, or whether it's pornography in the form of advocating abortion,
let me read
homosexuality.
Let me read the Fourth Amendment, because I think it's very clear. This is in the Constitution. The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects. Persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrant shall issue but upon probable cause supported.
It's very recent in legal history that came to become a doctrine.
I understand, but it is our Constitution. It is the holy, it wasn't
interpreted this way until fairly recently.
I understand, but
I agree with your interpretation.
I think persons, houses, papers, and effects means my person, things on my person. But I think a phone could very reasonably qualify as effects. And I think
so.
This
your
is
papers
clear.
Do your papers have to be in that interpretation? Do your papers have to be in your possession, or if they're your papers?
No. I think
they're seen somewhere else.
I think this implies
going through the mails.
I think it applies in your personal space. Your person. houses.
Is that your car? That was the other issue.
Which is why sending documents and pornography over the cloud become a problem, or sending them off of your device.
Yes.
And how would they get on your device without transmitting through? Like, the internet is...
Well, I could put I could take a picture and put it. It's on my device. It hasn't gone through the internet.
Okay, well, that's true.
So, and by the way, you affirmed this. Apple says all you have to do to disable this is to turn off iCloud photo storage, which is an option.
So Apple says, not our problem. Right?
Yeah. If you turn off iCloud photo storage, the database will be on your phone because it's going to be on every phone, but we won't be doing any scanning. So I think that's maybe Apple's way of saying you don't have to do this. You don't have to put up with this. But I think the Constitution seems very clear, and I think we should honor it. And I think your phone counts as either papers or effects or both. It's your stuff, and it should be secure from unreasonable search and seizure. So
I just looked up. Probably I'll get because I used the words child porn in a search. USPS and child pornography.
Look at the chilling effect, by the way.
Yeah.
You see?
Yeah.
They're watching.
Well, okay. I think the chilling effect is, my God, what if you actually pull up child porn? Not for me. I don't think Jeff's worry is that the feds are coming after him. I think Jeff's legit worry is he might see something he can't unsee in this situation.
Well, and if I do see it, I have a legal responsibility to report it. And if I don't report it in the right way, I have a liability of the yin-yang. I could up in jail.
Yeah.
The law, and this is part of the discussion, is that we're moving lines. No, Governor Cuomo, the line for you didn't move. You just didn't know it. But we are moving lines in terms of our I have to. He screwed over my school, so to hell with you, Governor. Soon to be ex-governor. And so we're having, as again, Stacey would say, we're having this discussion. So what is the discussion? We are intolerant, and properly so, of child porn. We are intolerant of insurrection. We're intolerant of other things. All right. What is the protection of society against those things? How far are we willing to go as a society? And when we say to Facebook or Twitter or Google or Apple, you must get rid of this laundry list of things. Okay, well, why does it stop at them then? The USPS says that they investigate things. Most things now involve both the U.S. mail and the internet. So the Postal Service is involved in this. Do we say that's the right thing because we all, in fact, do hate child porn and want to stamp it out? Or where is there a limit here? That's a discussion to be had. And as we put other things on the list of intolerance, as I would agree with putting things on that list, then we've got to decide in each case how far we're willing to go. Are we going to require Facebook and Twitter and Google, like Germany does, to take down certain things, or else their ass is grass? Or are we going to say that that's their right to do? And when they take down Rand Paul off YouTube, and I got people after me on Twitter today say, well, it's Google censoring. Oh, my God. Well,
that's Google's right.
Yeah, it's Google's right.
Google's right.
So this is the discussion we're having at a level where what is your personal effect is changing.
Right. Yeah. But I think, this is directly an answer to your hypothetical. Yes, we're against child pornography. We're against a lot of things. But there is a clear, bright line about how far we go. We could do a better job of law enforcement across the board. But we aren't willing to violate the Fourth Amendment. That's why the Fourth Amendment is there, because they didn't want the British coming into their houses. I mean, it was a very real concern for the framers. So I think it's pretty darn clear. And
so was there anything different in this discussion than the last 10 you've had on this topic?
Yeah, actually there was.
It is, yeah.
Well, you're the first one who's ever argued that we should do
Devil's advocate. Devil's advocate.
Yeah. Yeah. I just want to say, I think Ben nailed it. Search the cloud. That's fine. That's your cloud. You don't have to put up with that. But stay off my personal effects. And that's the phone.
Let me give you one more hypothetical. What if we have, so discourse is federated, right?
Discord
is federated.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe this is a bad example.
Is it federated? No, I think the company runs all the servers. It's not technically federated.
All right, so let's imagine there's
You
a
could say
there-
Mastodon, which is we have a Mastodon
Okay.
instance at twit.social. That is federated. I run my server, many other servers out there, including, by the way, adult servers.
Do you end up trafficking anything from any other servers other than your own?
You do, unless you block it. So
Right. So let's just say you don't block it. Let's just say, right?
Yep.
And so you're part of a federation where stuff's moving through your servers.
by
and-
default, there are a list of servers. Now, I have to say, when you install it, there is a canonical list of servers you can review, and the people who run it don't put child porn servers on there. So you could conceive of
Okay,
somebody
but what I'm
setting
gonna
up
say
a
is
child porn server. But let's
Let's say
assume one
somebody
gets through.
does it surreptitiously.
Yeah.
It gets through. It is on your server that is sitting in your living room.
Right.
You didn't do it, but it's there in your house. What say you, sir? Where's the line there? In a federated world, I'm trying to talk about when the architecture changes, how do we deal with those new situations?
That's it. I mean,
silence.
I don't think you should be held culpable for it if it's reasonable that you had no idea. If you took an affirmative step of some kind to host it, then clearly you're culpable. But
All right, well, let's go to the next step. What if there is a presumption that there's easy, what's it called?
NCMEC.
CMEC.
NCMEC. NCMEC. The National Center for for Missing and Exploited Children.
Right. So there's an easy way, and you're technologically
Well, that's the thing. There is an easy way to do it. Apple didn't for a long time and now does.
Right.
So that's a perfectly. So should everybody who has any host does any
That's what I'm
hosting?
asking.
Should they be responsible? Should they carry?
Should they be
Should they
required?
run this
Is that
perceptual
our-
hash?
Is that a line?
That's an interesting question. Yeah, I think it's reasonable to say that. I wouldn't particularly want to do it, but you're right. If I'm hosting material other people put there, and I don't make an effort to check it, I should have some sort of system to check it. Yes.
And hello, Section 230 too, right? It goes to intermediary liability too, and so it raises all of these interesting questions, and I think we have to have.
So Facebook's a good
hypothetical
example.
discussions around
They're
this.
liable for any bit of child pornography that's on their service, right? They are liable,
They are expected to go hunting for it,
and they do.
and they do.
But they also, it's tolerated if they miss something. It's understood they're doing their best, right?
Yes, I think in their case, definitely.
And I think that's maybe what Apple is starting to feel the heat about is, are you really doing your best if you only found 265 examples?
Bingo.
And obviously Apple decided, whether proactively or in response to heat, that they ought to do something about this. And I commend them on that. Fine. I don't have any problem with them scanning their iCloud. Do we all agree that's fine? Anybody
Yeah.
disagree? No. Yeah. Does anybody disagree? Now, I know you were being devil's advocate, but in reality, does anybody disagree that searching the phone is a step too far?
I don't know.
I feel like that's something we have to come to as a group. The way they're searching the phone feels like a good option if we really are serious about preventing child porn.
Right.
And the technology has been proven to be so good in the hashing. I've never heard complaints that the hashing got the false positives.
Okay, now I will bring in
That's interesting.
testimony from somebody who does perceptual hashing, who actually thinks that Apple is overstating its capabilities. This is from Retafounder.com. This guy does forensic.
Who dat?
Pardon me?
Who's that?
Who is Retafounder? It's Oliver. He lives in Berlin.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But he does forensic perceptual hashing. So he actually knows a lot about the perceptual hashing technology. He wrote a piece called The Problem with Perceptual Hashes. I won't rehash the hash. I'll let you read it if you're interested. But he says, here's an example of a false positive. We're trying to find this image. The algorithm finds this image. And it's because the way the algorithm works. He says, in the context of 100 million photos, which isn't that many, they do fail quite often, and they don't fail in acceptable ways. So,
well, here's where we could get audits. So this is a really interesting one of the controls in using AI for things is going to have to be public audits of how well this works.
Right.
So it's possible that we could say to Apple, hey, you know what? This is a big step you're asking us to take. Let's test it out. Let's give this algorithm over to researchers.
I think that's completely, we'd like to know more. Because Apple's claiming this 1 in a trillion. And as Oliver points out, that's just a made up number. There's no way you would have any idea of how many false positives you had. That's the issue. It's exactly what you said, Stacey.
Well, and if you do send it to people to check in the final version, that's a really good parameter. So, I mean, this guy may not be completely wrong, but he may be overstating his case as well. So somewhere if we had a way to test it, then, we could actually come to this with the right information to say, is this a good idea or not? The same way we could have a conversation about, hey, should we let algorithms determine if people get bail? Well, let's take a look at what happens when we do.
And also facial recognition, I would say that if someone can get arrested and shot down because of bad facial recognition, then I agree with you. We shouldn't allow it in that case. But if there are the checks to say this is just one signal, and there are proper checks in, like warrants,
but
evidence.
There's no warrant. I would point out. We
have that system.
I would point out. I mean, you're not going to go to jail, but let's say there's a false positive and you're flagged and it's sent to Apple. Somebody, unknown person at Apple, is now looking at your private pictures, and it may say, "Oh, that's just Leo's pic. That's not child pornography. It's okay."
But the animal abuse we found.
Yeah, but I'm just saying. That you're not getting arrested, but your personal pictures are being sent to an unnamed employee at Apple for review. If there's false positives. And this is what Oliver says. Does Apple have the manpower in place to iron out their shortcomings, their algorithm's shortcomings? We can only hope so. Perceptual hashes are messy. The simple fact that image data is reduced to a small number of bits leads to collisions and therefore false positives. When such algorithms are used to detect criminal activities, especially at Apple scale, many innocent people can potentially face serious problems. And so that's a reasonable cause for concern. I think, Stacey, you nailed it. Apple needs to demonstrate this 1 in a trillion. They need to show us, not just say, look, here's some hand waving. We're going to do it. You can trust us. And I don't think it should be on my phone, honestly.
And I think having the person involved is essential simply because every algorithm is things are going to be not what we want. I don't know if y'all did, the New York Times did a great thing about it. Was the bail algorithm, and they talked about like building equity and justice into these, and they showed the trade-offs that you end up making. And I know that's nuanced, and we all hate that.
I ended up voting against that in California. I was at first, because I hate money bail. I think that's a bad solution. But I was convinced by the NAACP and others that, the algorithm isn't better.
Yeah. So if you look at that, we've got to realize that the algorithm is not going to be perfect. It's going to mess things up, but we need to know where it's going to mess things up. And then we have to have steps in place to say, okay, well, this is how we will fix this. Just like Facebook with their, didn't want to show, was it nipples? So they wouldn't show breastfeeding moms, and someone had to get involved.
Yeah.
So,
the classic now is the child napalm photo, the Associated Press from Vietnam, right? It ticked off every box: naked, child in danger. And as we've discussed in the show before, and so it's not just the algorithm; it's also then the human being. In that case, the human being said, "Take it down," and the human being made a decision that was journalistically insane.
Yeah.
Right.
And you posted in the show notes something that they were discussing on Floss Weekly this morning, which is Mike Masnick's article on Tech Dirt, the end of ownership, how big companies are trying to turn everyone into renters. And this ties into that. This dovetails into that because that's really the question.
I didn't post that, but we did talk about about that in a different
I thought you put it
link. I think that's Mr. Jarvis.
I didn't do that.
But that's the question: do I rent this phone? Is it my phone? Does Apple own this phone? Apple probably would say, you might think you own this phone, but we have the right to do this because, in fact,
is it your McFlurry machine?
Yeah, there's another one.
So
There's
true.
another one. It's really fascinating, and this is what we talk about on this show. And I don't think it's easily solved, and I suspect Apple's going to go full speed ahead. But it's good they had the conversation. Or everybody's talking about this. It's interesting. There are some privacy issues that only we talk about in our circle, and which means all the people listen to our shows. And there's some things that have really get the attention of everybody, and I think this one did. Am I wrong?
No, it's
agree.
incendiary. Everyone has an iPhone, and most people have a pretty visceral reaction to child porn and privacy. So this was a wonderful confluence of events.
Yep. Well, and then Jeff would point out that's why whenever somebody, police agency wants to go a step further in surveilling you, they always invoke women and children because nobody's in favor of
Moral
child
panic.
porn. Moral panic. Yeah. This is the epitome of moral panic.
Ooh, Leo said it. Ooh.
At least I invoked you when I said it.
Nice try to hide behind me, fella. It's your moral panic.
Yeah, my moral panic. This is a good time for a quick break, and then let's talk about what Samsung announced this morning. We also have a Google changelog. Jeff Jarvis, Stacey Higginbotham, Ant Pruitt. This is a good group. I feel like we're all.
It is indeed.
We can talk, about difficult topics honestly and with candor because we're amongst friends.
Yep.
Actually, we've had good conversations on every show about this. I don't think we've come to a solution, but
Wait till we get to the study.
There
We're not the
isn't a
ones that's supposed to
solution,
come up
as
with
it
the
were.
solution.
yeah, that's right. Yeah,
There's just a series of trade-offs we have to work from, and boy, people hate that.
yeah, I know. Actually, and in this context, chat room's reminding me of Cory Doctorow. I just love Cory Doctorow's article. Canada has the worst internet ideas. They're about to pass a harmful content regulation.
Just awful.
Oh, boy.
It's like they took the worst of the world and put it in a law.
Yeah. A requirement to remove
Canada.
lawful but awful speech that is allowed under Canadian law, but effectively now also banned under Canadian law. 24-hour deadlines for removal. A de facto requirement for platforms to install algorithmic filters to identify and misidentify and remove prohibited expression, and huge penalties for failing to remove banned speech. Plus,
And no penalties for erroneously taking down permitted speech.
right. Plus, a Chinese-style national firewall that will block websites that refuse to comply.
Oh, boy.
Holy moly.
Oh, boy.
It is awful.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, Canada, what have you done?
Oh, Canada. It is not yet law, but
But the politics would point toward it passing.
yeah. Anyway,
This is why Jeff gets nervous about, well, we should get rid of all this stuff. We must do this. And then look how it extends. Look how the
instantly.
German hate speech law
Yeah.
and the right to be forgotten and NetzDG and so on and so forth end up metastasizing in Australia and Canada and otherwise sane countries. Forget the insane countries like Turkey and Hungary and China. Even in the sane countries now, this moral panic gets to the point that people say something must be done, so let's just do it. So you have Amy Klobuchar's bad law. You have a lot of really bad 230 laws in the U.S. That's what worries me. I'm not defending Facebook or even Google or Twitter, defending the internet and the freedoms we have.
there does seem, I'll back you up on this, a knee-jerk response to the threats that the internet poses that in almost every case are worse than the problem. And this is clearly one of
Well, the presumption. I saw Kevin Roose went after, he's going to kill me, the now CEO of Instagram, formerly head of the newsfeed at Facebook.
Kevin Systrom?
No, the current.
Oh,
This is so embarrassing. And I'm sorry. So Adam Massari said something that I say all the time, just yes, the internet has bad things, but it also has good things. He says, I think the good outweighs the bad. And Roos just goes after him. Like, how do you know that? Well, Kevin, how do you know that's not the case either? It's just a statement of feeling. That's an impossible data set to gather. But the knee-jerk response is someone defends the internet. And here comes the journalist. Wow, how could that be true?
Actually, I can answer Kevin's with a simple thought experiment. Would we be better off today the way it is, or if there were zero internet?
Right. And a corollary to that is...
Which would be a better situation? Which is the one you want to live in? Today's internet or no internet?
Right. And also, if we turned off Facebook completely today, would all of our problems of racism and hate and lies go away?
No, but a lot of them would.
Well,
and maybe Mark Zuckerberg would go away.
I don't know. I might have to disagree with you on that one.
Oh, I hate Facebook.
As much as I hate Facebook, it is nice to know that they've given voice to some people that don't necessarily have a voice.
And Jeff said that. Of course, the chief example of this is the video that was posted of George Floyd getting murdered.
Floyd. Yes.
Without that video, there would be no prosecution. There would have been no conviction. It would have been
just another
day.
Yes.
So you're right. I mean, maybe she would have posted it on Twitter or somewhere else, but that's where it was posted, Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
So you were headed toward a nice commercial break.
Yeah.
And then what happened?
I
what
thought
happened?
though,
Where did this train
get some
go?
credit.
I tried not to get too involved in this comment or this section.
Yeah, you want waffles.
I think we're going to break.
I just want a little credit for having demolished Kevin Roos's argument.
Thank you. Yes.
Did I not?
Yes. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Bless you, sir. Bless you.
Credit earned.
Bless you. Now you've earned the money the sponsor is going to bring you.
Yes.
Oh, don't think it goes to me. Not to
At
me.
least they talk about how to make some extra money.
Yeah, actually, this is a really, I sit down as an old guy and lecture my kids and young people all the time. It's something somebody told me, and actually I was probably in my 30s before I heard this, but they said, put money away every day for your retirement. The magic of compound interest. And I have to say, looking back, I thank God I got that advice. I was working somewhere where there was this brand new thing called a 401k, and I have ever since, no matter how little I got paid, put at least a small percentage of my income into a 401k. And today I can retire. I was able to buy a house. We could talk about diamond hands and stonk memes and rocket ships. That is not gonna do the job. Day trading is basically going to Las Vegas. There's winners, but there's also losers. It could be a lot of fun. I'm not saying that. But you owe it to yourself to grow your long-term wealth. Wealthfront. Open a Wealthfront investment account today. Because I know that we're busy. We don't have a lot of time. What you really want is a way to just put a little bit aside every paycheck and watch it grow without a lot of work on your part. And that's what Wealthfront can do. Don't buy individual stocks, please. I tell my kids this. My daughter said, should I buy Dogecoin? Please. Decades of data show investors that trade individual stocks or crypto underperform the market every year. In fact, only 1% of day traders beat the market. I read a really great book. I highly recommend it, by the late David Swenson. He ran Yale's endowment for 30 years, was hugely the most successful fund manager ever. And in his book, Unconventional Wisdom, he says, you know what? Don't buy individual stocks. Buy index funds. That's what Wealthfront could do for you. Wealthfront makes it easy, whether you've been investing for years or a beginner. They have the right tools for your portfolio. They will ask you the questions you need to ask, like how much risk can you tolerate, how long, what's your time frame, and then they will create a portfolio of globally diversified, low-cost index funds personalized for you in minutes. You don't have to worry about individual stocks, manual trades. You will not watch the stock market every day, which is a recipe for disaster, because then you freak out. My mom does that. She says, the stock market's down today. I lost money. What should I do? I said, Mom, you should just ride it out. I wish I could get her in Wealthfront. They automatically handle all the investing based on the preferences you control. I tried. I really did. She said, no, I have this nice guy. She pays her investment advisor $10,000 a year to do absolutely nothing. Wealthfront, 0.25% advisory fee. It's nothing. And in fact, Wealthfront can even help you pay for that with their tax loss harvesting, which I guarantee you Mom's advisor ain't doing. Tax loss harvesting is an amazing thing, but it's complicated. But when it's done right, it can save you a lot. And this is all completely automatic with your Wealthfront account. Wealthfront is trusted with over $20 billion of assets. You can get your first $5,000 managed free forever, not even 0.25%, but free forever. Go to wealthfront.com/twig. Minimum investment, just $500. I'm telling you, start now, you young people. And that's anybody under 65. Start now. Grow your wealth the easy way. Let Wealthfront do the work for you. It is truly amazing. If there's one bit of advice I give my kids, this is it. Get your first $5,000 managed for free for life. Go to wealthfront.com/twig. Wealth, WEALTH, Wealth Front, FRONT. Wealthfront.com/twig. Start growing your savings. The sooner you start, even a few days early makes a big difference with compounded interest over the years. It's a miracle. I think that's what Warren Buffett calls it, the miracle of compound interest. Wealthfront.com/twig. Please use that address so they know you saw it here, because otherwise we don't get credit. Wealthfront.com/twig. Start today. Love these guys. I've known them for years, and I can easily recommend it. Do people, I guess some people still get pensions.
I wouldn't know.
Like, really? Who are those people?
Pensions. Oh,
No idea myself, sir.
I think I had one at the Chicago Tribune, but God knows it must be gone 5 acquisitions.
It's probably union, right? John, were you union? John's saying he has a pension. Yeah, it was state employee, CalPERS. So yeah, they do it. They take care of you. That's the right.
I'm a state employee. I don't get a pension.
Yeah, well, you're in.
401k. You're
in there. How do you like your new governor? What's her name?
She's got issues, but boy, our last one had issues. He us out. We rented.
Can't say that word,
building.
by the way. No more.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's a bad word.
Cuomo'd us out of.
That's a better word. Yeah, he Cuomo'd us. You've been Cuomo'd.
I think it was $2.5 million to rebuild a floor that we went ahead and rented. Then I have to raise money to pay the rent on, and it's not rebuilt.
You know, it's funny. Before COVID, Cuomo had a terrible reputation, and then he was so front and center, and it's seemingly so in command and did a good job in a.
I feel
situation.
so used and so dirty, thinking I liked him for a little while.
Yeah, everybody liked him. Thought this is how it should be, but it was
Giuliani.
only. Yeah, same thing. But
something about New York.
Something about New York. All the best people come from New York. But the good ones moved to Florida, right? So Samsung.
Do we want?
What, Stace?
Oh no, I was going to throw a story out there, but let's talk about Samsung.
We'll do that quickly, and then you could throw out your story since I said the S word. The Galaxy Fold.
When did everybody start saying no worries? When did we all become Canadian? I'm old enough to remember when we didn't all say
Australian.
that.
It's Australian.
No worries, mate.
No worries,
No
mate.
walking furries, mate.
When did we all become Australian, by the way? We all did. Everybody says it.
It's better
there was
than...
a time.
Late 1980s.
You know what Australians say? When we start saying my bad, is that from the States? I hate that. My bad. You mean you did something wrong? That's not a good Australian.
That's Cockney. Yeah,
I don't know. I can't.
Yeah. That's
Michael,
before the transportation.
I got cane on the brain. So look at the price of the Galaxy Z Fold 3. Now, I have a Fold 2, which I paid $1,500 for. It is now $1,700.99. 1,799 buckaroos.
Nope.
That's beyond. So
Mr. Pruitt is never doing it. Mr. Pruitt wins the lottery. He's still not going to do it. Mr. Pruitt is too smart to spend that much money on a damn phone, right, Mr. Pruitt?
That is correct, sir. Well, I like to think that anyway. The only credit I can give about this phone is the digitizer tech that they put in there, where they split it up into 2 different digitizers to work with the Fold, while you have a stylus, and it can actually go across the stylus without any issues, across the screen with the stylus without any issues. That's it.
I've had a Fold 2. It's been sitting on my shelf. I don't really like it. There is, baseball has it. There's this guy, a good-looking guy. He was Mario Mendoza, second baseman for or shortstop, I'm sorry, for the Pittsburgh Pirates, who his batting average is about 200. He's been memorialized in baseball with the phrase the Mendoza line. If your batting average is below 200, 1 in 5 hits, you're below the Mendoza line. We need a Mendoza line for phone prices. And I think I got to say, anything above $1,000, what are you smoking?
No, can't do it.
Too much.
It's not a laptop.
That's more than a laptop. $17.99. Is it crazy? Obviously, Samsung doesn't think so.
Or do they do it just to say, look how cool we are?
They're very good about trade-in. A lot of people are getting their flip phones or their Fold 3 with trading in an old Samsung phone and getting enough off so it's not as crazy. But
so it goes from $1,700 to $1,200. Yeah. Still.
Yeah. No.
Stacey, sorry, you were trying to say something and I stepped on you.
Oh, no, that's okay. I was just thinking about, there is an audience for these high-priced phones. And eventually, it'll come down in price as the components scale.
It's not, though. That's the thing. The Fold 2 was $1,500. It's going up.
Nobody's buying it.
It's going up.
So it's only
they're working on it.
for the
Miss Optimism.
Well, I'm excited that they're pushing so hard on this concept. It may turn out to be economically unfeasible, but I like what they're doing. Enough people hopefully will buy it that they're like, let's keep trying, and maybe we'll end up pushing the price down. At $1,000, would you buy this phone?
Nope. But that's me.
Nope. Okay.
But that's me.
I
just don't think
I'm not a big fan of
$1,000.
I don't mind the price so much. I'm not a fan of folding phones. As I said, I had the Fold 2, paid a crazy $1,500 for it. After a while, with not a lot of use, the screen that comes with a kind of almost a rubbery screen protector started to bubble, and so I peeled it off against my better instincts. Remember the original Samsung Galaxy Fold? You peeled it off, it broke it. In this case, I looked, I read on Reddit and stuff. They said you can take it off, and in fact, Samsung has a service that'll replace it for some fee. But I just took it off, and it's fine, and it's actually a much nicer phone. But I feel like this is a flimsy technology. Now maybe they've improved it. They say the protective film is now 80% stronger. Okay. I feel like anything that's foldable is not going to be.
So Stacey, let me ask. You seem excited about the potential for it. What's the use case for folding?
That you have a smaller footprint of a device that then you can expand your screen size.
Yeah, it's like a tablet in your pocket.
That's all it is, but it's a pretty powerful concept.
I agree.
I dig that.
I would say if you could figure out how to, if you're thinking ahead to software development on this thing and designing for 2 screens, right? 2 separate screens running together. So you could either have one app on each side or a unified app running across both. Then it becomes interesting if you think about having VR apps with, one eye getting this information, another eye getting this information, or kind of interactive screens that are, and I'm just thinking about we need these kind of middle ground hardware steps to get us to that future where we're throwing up screens everywhere and tapping stuff. I don't know. I'm excited just because I like innovation. I like people trying, and if it's a dead end, it's a dead end. But
I completely agree with you. And Samsung makes so much money on it has 100 different models, and they make so much money on the other models that I think it's reasonable for them to say, okay, and we're going to offer one model that's so expensive, nobody, it's for a limited number of people, but we can try things. For instance, the camera on the inside goes through the screen. There's no hole punch. There's no notch.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's good. We want to see those kinds of innovations. Other phones will eventually have them, I'm sure. Actually, the new Google Pixel 6 has a through-the-screen fingerprint reader, which others have done before. But that's there's got to be innovation.
So, Miss Stacy, you're saying this is more like a pilot program is how we should look at this?
Yeah, like they're trying an idea. Maybe Samsung doesn't think they're doing it, but that's what's happening here.
They pitched gaming content, watching movies. They pitched, they showed how applications can, much as you would on a computer, have two panes or even more. As you read your email, the list is on the left, the mail is on the right. All of those things are nice on a bigger screen. Some of this comes from the fact that Apple's just completely dominant in the tablet space. Samsung's the next biggest competitor, but I think Apple just owns them with the iPad. And
okay, so is that a different way to say that this is a way to blaze a trail toward reinvigorating the tablets? Since tablets are kind of
remember that Samsung does sell tablets, but Apple doesn't have anything in this kind of smaller mid-range. So there's something that's somewhere in the continuum between a phone and a tablet. Samsung for years was laughed at for making the Note. People said, "Oh, that's such a big phone." And it was a huge success. Because of it, now everybody else is making big phones, right? Samsung showed the way with the Note, so it could very well be something like that. They've have a history of that. I would not buy one, having had the Fold 2. I don't think the Fold 3 is going to be. It's things like the aluminum in the Fold 3's hinge is now 10% stronger. Oh, well, that's a relief.
I see somebody coming out of the lab waving a report. It's 10% stronger.
I feel like that's just the marketing people like, well, okay.
We got
it's a foldable phone. We don't have metrics on these yet, so let's focus on this because this is what people complain about.
20% stronger?
I'll tell you, there is a problem with these phones because you can't really put a case on them. The Samsung case that they sold in the Fold 2 was just a shell that went over one side of it. And so you're carrying this thing, which costs a horrific amount of money, is undoubtedly very fragile, and there's no even way to protect it. When I was shooting pictures with my Fold 2, it's like, don't drop it, Leo. It's $1,500 down the tubes. It's just scary. And so there's issues too.
Yeah, and I feel like from a marketing perspective, if Apple had brought us a foldable phone, they would not be telling us the hinges are 10% stronger. No. They would distract us from the frailty of it by telling us, now your phone is like a book or a world within,
Right.
And so part of this is like, y'all would be more excited if Samsung's marketing team were a little less, we got to address this issue of the wimpy fold,
Right.
I don't know.
There's a reason Apple doesn't make one. I guess would be the answer I'd have to that.
But they'll make one if Samsung can make this feasible. And I guarantee someone at Apple is thinking about foldable phones and researching
I'm sure they have prototypes. You bet. Yeah. But I think
I'm sorry. Folding phone aside, I got a tweet from Monkman last week, basically saying, okay, $1,000 phone why is it not worth it to me? Don't I use a phone every single day? And my logic is, okay, if I use it every single day, that doesn't necessarily make it worth $1,000 if I can't run certain things on it on a smaller screen that a laptop can do for me on a bigger screen.
I mean, I'm the guy who paid $2,400 for an iPad. I'm not.
No.
I'm not completely averse to overspending on technology.
That's just wrong. Come on.
But I don't anticipate sitting in a tree in a beautiful yellow print dress, staring at my folding phone. This just doesn't look like something I'm going to be doing. It isn't quite big enough, to be honest with you. It's big.
I salute the engineering efforts. I do. I salute the engineering efforts. But at the same time, they lose me just because of my pragmatism. I'm looking at how much this thing is going to cost me. And is it going to be worth what I pay for it? It's $1,700.
No. Yeah. And you're in the vast majority, obviously. And I don't think Samsung they understand that. If they sell 1 million of these, they'll be thrilled. They're not expecting it to be a huge hit.
How many people do you think are interested in a folding phone functionality anyway?
At that
people
price,
really
or just
excited about
in general?
it?
I'm excited about it. I have smaller hands. I have tiny pockets. If I can fold something up and then make it big, great.
What about the flip? Have you looked at the Samsung Flip? Because that's basically a flip phone that's even smaller, and I think that's kind of cool looking. That's $1,000.
That looks great. That looks another nice engineering feat. Looks great, and they added a larger outer screen on it. It's actually functional. That's great. Still not paying $1,000 for it.
How about this? League of Legends on a 7.6-inch screen. Ooh.
Talk about immersion.
Ooh. Yeah, it's like a pocket. It's like you're playing on a pocket handkerchief. Here, just unfold this just to give yourself a little bit of the experience. Look at that. Wow. No, my handkerchief's bigger than this.
Your handkerchief is bigger.
I spent more than my father spent on a Ford Mustang so I can play a game.
Yeah, that's right. But you're not your father. No. So, if you bought a Ford Mustang today, it would be a little bit more than this.
Yes.
So 120 hertz main screen. It's got a lot of the features of top flagship phones these days. I have to say, I'm much more excited about the Pixel 6, which was probably why Google pre-announced that, right? Because now I'm not even tempted. It's like, I know a Pixel 6 is coming in a couple of months.
I haven't bought a Samsung phone since the Galaxy Nexus.
Oh, I thought you were a Samsung guy for some reason.
No. Never. I like the Note. I never really liked the skin of Android that it ran years ago.
Yeah,
now, granted, their version of Android got much better, but I'm used to the Nexus line of OS and just been stuck ever since.
I have to say the cameras are pretty good in Samsung. They are
just oversaturated.
Yep. If you look at Paul Thurrott's Instagram, he's been posting pictures using his wife's Samsung Galaxy S20, and they really look good. It's a good camera for what he's using it for, which is kind of he's in Mexico and he's just going around taking pictures of food and stuff.
Yeah,
and it's great. I mean, these are beautiful images. They're not Aunt Pruitt beautiful.
Oh, it looks great.
But they're nice, right?
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah. So I think that's the market, and the camera in the Galaxy is going to be similar. I think just as good. But what's neat about the Galaxy, I have to admit, for this is the case for the Fold. You get a great big viewfinder, and when I was shooting pictures, when I wasn't worried about dropping the thing, it was really nice to be able to see an image at the size of a print, right?
Yeah, that's cool inside of Lightroom. That's pretty nice.
Yeah. I've been using my iPad for doing photo editing because it's nice to see it, on a beautiful screen at just about
an 8 that much on it. You got to do something with it.
I know. Okay, that's actually the truth. That's the real reason I gotta have something.
I gotta do more than slack on this thing.
Oh man. Our strongest aluminum frame yet. It's super strong yet lightweight.
10% stronger?
10%. It's like a suit of armor. But what does the suit of armor protect? The interior parts of the hinge. They're really protected. I don't know. All right, we don't.
It's good that they recognize that problem though with the hinge.
Yeah,
I did enjoy that little motion graphic that they put up to show how they've addressed that problem, because that's serious. Cool? You're spending that much money and a drop of water get in there and ruin it. That's
or sand. People were getting grit in the early phones. So maybe I should get a Flip. What do you think? This one, I think
it's cute.
Yeah, this is for you, Stacey. This is to go in your small pockets.
Your pocketbook.
No, well,
I don't have a pocketbook.
Pockets. A pocketbook.
Lord.
Does anybody have a pocketbook anymore?
That's where I keep my checkbook.
Mother Pruitt
started a magazine back in the
Mother
day.
Pruitt.
They wanted to address the women, and they decided to make it purse-sized because all the men decided that's what they should do.
A purse-sized, geez.
Purse-sized.
So this is what I don't like about the Flip, is it looks like a clothespin on the side. There's this gap.
Oh, the air gap.
Microsoft did the same thing.
Why don't you like that?
It bugs me. It should fold flat.
You're OCD.
So the screen doesn't hit the screen.
Yeah, that's definitely, I agree.
Yeah.
All right, I'm not going to buy it. I just got completely turned off. All right, that's fine.
Lavender phone.
I don't want to spend $1,000 on that phone.
No,
but I would do it for like $750.
Well, with trade-in, in fact, there's somebody in our Discord who's getting it, I think, for $400 or something with trade-in. So,
oh, nice.
Yeah, but I've only got a Pixel.
Yeah, you'd have to have a good trade-in.
Did you notice them? Previously, they wouldn't even mention Android
That's
in
right.
their
Never
presentations.
said it. Yep.
But now with Wear OS, it was sort of jarring to hear them even mention Wear OS teaming up with their Tizen version.
Right. I think this is good for both Google and Samsung. Finally, Samsung admits that, yeah, we use Android. Yeah. You got a problem with that? And I actually am going to buy this watch because the problem with the Wear watch all along was Google specified the hardware platform, and it was a really anemic Qualcomm processor that had poor battery life. Now they're going to use a much more modern Samsung processor. That's what Google got out of this Tizen deal. So I actually ordered a Galaxy Watch 4 Classic because it's got that. Have you ever used one of these with a spinning bezel? The bezel.
That would be the route I wanted to go.
Yeah.
I always liked their original Gear 4 watches, and I'm sorry,
Yeah.
It sounds like somebody's phone is ringing here in the house.
No problem.
That they won't pick up. But I've always liked the larger watch faces just because I have larger hands.
This is
But
made
back
for
then
you.
you had to have a Galaxy phone and all of that stuff with it. But now I like this option.
I'm thinking this and the Pixel 6, and maybe this is my answer to Apple's privacy. The privacy issue is just go to a much more privacy-centric device. I don't know. I didn't buy the LTE version because I don't want it to be always connected to the network. I don't know. We'll see. I'll get it. I'll let you know. I'll give you a review. I'm sure Jason will have a review of both the Flip and the Fold. I pray to God he's not buying it with my credit card. Oh God. What was the story you wanted to bring up, Stacy? Now that we've covered that,
I was excited about Google's work on protecting teens, and there were a couple good things that I thought was worth talking about, just probably because I have a teenager. But I've complained a long time about most of the policies are addressed to kids at the age of 13. They're like, oh, 13, you're an adult now, according to the DCMA not the DCMA.
You're on your own.
CPPA.
Yeah.
Or DACA
Yes.
or whatever it is. I can never remember all these acronyms.
It's not DACA.
It's not DACA.
But yeah.
I dream
It's
of being
whatever.
18 someday.
So yeah, basically you're on your own. Here's the whole wide world of the internet. And you're like, well, a 13-year-old really isn't ready for that. So Google's done some good things. They've talked about not advertising certain classes to them, but I really thought it was great that it lets kids pull their images before the age of 13.
Yes.
And that's so key because, one, your parents, we didn't do this to our kid, but parents put up images that kids may not want. We had this actually
I wish
before my
everybody
daughters.
could do this.
Well, yeah.
There's images I would love Google to pull. But this is not the right to be forgotten. It is, but it's the right to be forgotten for under 18.
It's the right to be stupid when you're a kid and not have that haunt you for the rest of your life.
So Mindy Brooks, general manager of Google Kids and Families, wrote up a blog post. If you are under 18, you or your parent or guardian can request the removal of your image from Google image results. That's not going to remove it from the web, obviously, but if you can't find it on Google, it pretty much doesn't exist. I have to think that, gosh, if I were in high school today, does this remove it from Facebook? No, it's still on Facebook, but at least it doesn't show up in search, right?
Right. It's not, if someone searches for your name, if you search for my name, you get all kinds of images. But, they aren't, because people didn't have smartphones when I was a kid. You're not going to find the
I feel so
stupid
bad for
images
kids.
of me smoking a cigarette,
right.
while robbing a liquor store.
Stacy.
You did?
She only would do it while robbing liquor stores. It wasn't. It wasn't like all.
I was
the
a
time.
theater kid. Occasionally, I remember, because we used to have to get our photos developed, and so I would give them to my parents, and they would take them to Walgreens, develop them, and then I remember getting in so much trouble because one of my friends was smoking a cigarette in one of the pictures. And my parents saw. So
but you didn't
those
get
are the
in trouble.
kind of things.
You're
I did. I was not allowed to
friend
hang
smoking?
out. Yes, I wasn't allowed to hang out with him anymore.
What?
And this, by the way, this is Apple. This is the kid in the photo mart becomes the equivalent of Apple.
Yeah, that's worse, isn't it? Actually, that's a good point. Our pictures weren't private when we had to get them
Not
developed.
at all.
Oh, there were a bunch of cases about that. You can, if you want to look up child porn and photo development, you go right ahead. I'm not going to.
Giving your kid a bath and taking a picture of it got people
in trouble.
Big trouble.
Yeah. That's actually a really good point.
If only we had said it earlier. Anyway, I just thought this was really good and worth, I'm glad. And it's because of, and I should point this out, it's because of Google's doing this because of new regulations being introduced in other countries, which to me is a signal that regulations can be helpful in driving companies to do better, because clearly Google really didn't care about this until that point.
I completely agree with you.
Well, I'd say it's another way to look at it is the way right to be forgotten exists. I have a lot of objections to, but it does take somebody sitting down and saying, forget regulation, forget courts, forget all of that. What power should an individual have over their own stuff?
Yeah.
Is an interesting question to then explore, which is what Google's done in essence.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up.
Regulations.
That's a good one.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we'll do it in the changelog, but there's other things Google is doing to give kids and families a better experience online.
Oh, yeah, turning off autoplay by default for kids under 18. We've talked about that a lot.
Hallelujah.
And they get break reminders, which I don't know about y'all, but when I'm in TikTok and they give me the break reminders,
do you ignore them?
Are they telling me to?
I ignore them.
I feel bad about them. I'm like, oh, you know what? They're probably right. But then I'm like, I will not let this app dictate to me. So I watch 2 more videos and then I'd go off. And then I'm like, what am I doing?
Yeah, just to show my independence, I'm going to watch 2 more and then I'll take
Then I'm getting off.
I'll show you, algorithm.
Also, for kids under 18, the default upload setting will be private for our YouTube videos, which I think is a good safeguard. Absolutely. You could make it public, but it'll be private by default. There's also location history and other changes. But we'll talk about that in the Google changelog, which is still to come. Marjorie Taylor Greene, strike 4. In baseball, you only get 3.
Yeah.
She's got 4. One more, though. You get 5 strikes on Twitter. One more, and she might get banned forever. I'm gonna go out on a limb here. Make a prediction that that's her goal, and you will have a 5th strike.
Coming up to bat as we speak.
Yes, and swinging away. Last month, Twitter instituted a 5 strikes policy. She has been banned now 4 times for tweets saying the coronavirus is not dangerous if you're under 65 and not fat. Actually, who's going to ban Joe Rogan for saying all you got to do is eat right and not get fat and you'll be fine? Who's going to ban Joe Rogan for that?
Well, his company should.
Spotify ought to be saying something.
Yes, they ought to be.
That's the problem with misinformation. You can't shut it down. You can't. The tweet was labeled as misleading.
There was an example today, Leo.
Yeah.
Of what was it? I don't think I put it on the rundown. Somebody at Facebook or Twitter or somebody took down Russian disinformation that the vaccination turns you into a monkey. And at some point,
has anybody? Wait a minute, but I'm just curious. Has anybody been turned into a monkey? Just checking.
Well, that's the thing.
Asking
if
for
anybody's
a
going to believe that, you give people no agency at all. You think that they're so stupid. At some point, maybe you let the stupidity out.
I think it just shows. Yeah, why cover for them? I don't know. I have mixed feelings because, of course, people who do believe people like Representative Greene and might, in fact, get influenced by that and get sick and die. She's spreading bad information. Let's save some lives. But on the other hand,
we have no data on what the actual impact of these kinds of lies
Right.
is. We scream about how they're out there, and my God, every single morning now, Mika on Morning Joe is screaming about Facebook being the source of all evil in the world.
Yeah.
And I repeat, if we turn it off, it ain't gonna fix anything.
Yeah.
And I hope we will later get to the story about the paper about YouTube.
Do you think she should have been banned or no?
Sure, I think they should do more.
They actually
banning.
haven't banned her. They've just taken down the offending tweets and suspended
I think they should.
her.
I think
Yeah.
she's awful, and
Yeah.
they should.
She's
say,
not getting the message. Obviously, she
It's
wants
the
to be
garden
banned.
party rule.
Yeah.
This is their garden party.
Yeah, yeah.
If she came to my, God forbid, if she came to my garden party and said what she said, I would tell her to leave because it's my garden party. This is Twitter's garden party.
Ron Paul banned from YouTube for 7 days, starting yesterday. He posted a video claiming that cloth masks are not effective. Now, that is more hazardous because, A, he's a doctor. He's a physician.
Of sorts.
Yeah, well, he's an ophthalmologist, right? I mean, it's not exactly his specialty, but he got to get an MD to do that. The other problem is it's not true, and it might discourage people from using cloth masks. He says most of the masks you get over the counter don't work. Of course, Ron Paul immediately went
Rand
to
Paul
Rand.
or Ron
Rand.
Paul?
Did I say
Rand
Ron?
Paul.
Daddy Ron.
Yeah, I was like,
Daddy Ron's big
Daddy's so proud
boy.
of his son, Rand.
Big boy Rand. Paul took to Twitter to express his disagreement with YouTube's decision. Quote, a badge of honor. Left-wing cretins at YouTube banning me for 7 days for a video that quotes 2 peer-reviewed articles saying cloth masks don't work.
And then you have Glenn Greenwald, who's its own
The band appears too.
screaming about how this is awful and evil, that they would get rid of a U.S. senator and they shouldn't do this. And
It's a
There's a
tough
lot of
one. We did
wackiness
that.
going on.
We did that survey, that Twitter survey. It shows how hard it is to make these decisions.
yes,
I think, and so there's a lot of things you could say that would be untrue that would not get you banned from Twitter or YouTube, but that there are
It's a
things that are
garden party.
dangerous to public health that, you probably don't want people to,
Well, I
to
think
say,
that's
especially
actually the
people
wrong
in
standard.
authority. Yeah.
I think that's the wrong standard. I think that because we don't really know the danger, I would argue. We don't know how much people really are influenced by this and this alone. And again, I'm going to insist we get to the story later about YouTube and political radicalization and the study thereof. So I think the standard is not that in this case. I think the standard is the garden party standard of saying, we just don't want you telling, whatever the effect is, we just don't want this here on our place. And it's our right not to have it. And we're going to tell you, get off. No. I think that's the way to do it. And that requires them to set standards. And they're scared of that. But I would like to see them start to set standards of their own view of what should be on and off their platforms.
Let's do that YouTube story. Did you put that in here somewhere? I'm looking for it.
I did. Would it be under YouTube? Could it be under there? I don't know.
I don't know where it
Logical,
is.
it might be under there.
I don't know where it is.
So,
This is a
looking up.
study of...
probably it is line 68. I know you don't like the line numbers.
No,
but it is
I
a
love
precise
lines.
way to get us there.
YouTube's algorithm is apparently, according to a study by a bunch of people with Arab names, but okay.
No, including, yes, David Rothschild and Duncan Watts.
Well, the Rothschilds. Okay. I'm bad. I'm
Trilateral
sorry.
Commission.
I am so sorry. Don't forget I even said this. Examining the consumption of radical content on YouTube. It is a study from Stanford. Oh, no, I'm sorry. It's edited by Stanford. It is a study from University of Pennsylvania, Harvard, Temple, Colorado, UC Boulder, my son's alma mater, Santa Fe Institute, Microsoft Research, and the Annenberg School of Communications. Okay, I guess those are, prestigious. I don't see Yale in there, but okay, I'll take Harvard.
There's a reason why.
Daily share of news consumption on YouTube, a social media platform, blah, blah, blah. We identify several distinct communities of news consumers, including, pick the one you think Jeff's in, far-right, anti-woke. Far-right is small and not increasing in size over the observation period, while anti-woke is growing.
A 4-year period from 2016.
and both grow in consumption per user. But
the anti-woke is very interesting because it is a huge growing part, and it's not just, it's the Harper's letter, it's the intellectual dark web people, it's the New York Times op-ed columnists who complain about cancel culture, and they don't realize how much they are being used by the far right, which is what comes out of the study. Is that the sites who think of themselves as anti-woke don't think they're necessarily far right, but their viewers are far right, and their messages are being used on the far right. And it's a really interesting pickup that I haven't seen anywhere on this kind of new school of thought. So anyway, keep going.
Representative panel, 300,000 Americans looking at their individual level browsing behavior on and off YouTube, January 2016 through January 2019. We found December 2019. News consumption on YouTube is dominated by mainstream and largely centrist sources. Consumers of far-right content, while more engaged than average, represent a small and stable percentage of news consumers. But consumption of anti-woke content grew steadily in popularity and is correlated with consumption of far-right content off platform. However, this is the point you wanted to make. There's no evidence that engagement with far-right content is caused by YouTube recommendations systematically.
And so you can't get access to it because I'm a professor. I got access to the whole paper and read it all. And thank you, my library. And they also looked at the pathways.
So jealous.
Nor is there clear evidence that anti-woke channels serve as a gateway to the far right.
Or right. They're used. So the pathways they looked at, and they said the pathways by which users reach far right videos are diverse, and only a fraction can plausibly be attributed to platform recommendations. Where are those platforms primarily? 50% of far right and right videos and more than 30% of anti-woke videos are begun after visiting a right or far right news domain such as Fox News, Breitbart.com, or Infowars.com. And what they're saying is this ain't just an algorithm on YouTube. It ain't just YouTube. It's overarching, not just the web. It's also overarching media. And that's what we have to watch here and understand. And so I think it was a good, sensible report. Now, the problem is because they only put out the summary, people started reacting to that. And if you read the whole report, it's very good. Now, some researchers say the problem here is they couldn't see what was being recommended to people. And that's right. We want YouTube to release more data here so we can get a better sense of this. But what's important about this study is that they could see not just their YouTube behavior, which is so often the case with these things, because they used the Nielsen panel, they saw their behavior across multiple domains, but multiple media and multiple domains among media, which is really important.
Zeynep Tufiki, who is also a professor, and so got to read this, said, "You got my hopes up." That's what I thought. But the independent researchers,
I just said they didn't have the recommendation.
They didn't have the recommendation. So,
but they acknowledge that fully in the paper.
They need data from YouTube, is what they need.
You always need more data. Yes.
Yeah. So I think this is a good preliminary study. I think it isn't. Yeah, you can't.
That's all they say it is.
You shouldn't.
Every study is a preliminary. study.
Yeah. But it's not. It's maybe premature to derive a hard conclusion from this. But it's interesting, and we need to know more. What the hell was that?
What was that?
Stacey, do you need a waffle?
Kylo.
Is your stomach talking to you?
No, it's a dog.
Waffle.
It's not me.
Kylo's asleep.
Oh, he's dreaming.
Having a dream.
Oh, he's snoring.
He's dreaming.
Oh, that's so sweet.
He's chasing something in his dreams.
If you had a little camera, I'd have you move it so we could see, but you can't.
That's so cute. Camera. He has it. You didn't remove his vocal cords or anything. He can bark normally, right?
Oh yeah, he can definitely bark normally.
Okay. But he's just in his dreams. He barks like a dream.
Yeah. Now he sounds like a small dog when he's not.
I do have a close-up picture provided by Matthew in our Discord chat.
Yeah, add about another 90 pounds or so to that dog. And you'll have Kylo.
Thank you, sir. He's dreaming of biting Rand Paul, says CR1 in our chat room.
You got him worked up.
That's what I sound like. Let's see. Let's have some more. Hold on a sec, though. We'll take a little break here so we can breathe because I think the temperature is increasing.
I'm one of those jerks when they come at meetings and they say, let's have an icebreaker.
You hate that.
I hate it. And then what gets me more is, let's all breathe. I'm going to hold my breath.
I don't
not
like you.
breathing.
I don't want to breathe.
I'm not breathing
I'm
for
not
you.
breathing.
Come on.
Jeff, you were just like me when I refused to listen to the TikTok people.
Listen to the TikTok people. That feels like that should be a song.
Now you're motivating me to find some more TikTok people to put on the rundown next week.
I love the TikTok people. All right, I'll do. In fact, my son, who now has 50,000 followers on TikTok,
as well, he should,
and feels that he is on his way to TikTok fame and fortune. He just wants to make a living on TikTok.
Yeah.
By the way, you can.
Yeah, why not?
He should.
And he wants to go to Asia and be able to just kind of go around Asia, enjoy himself going around Asia, doing travel and food videos. And if he says he still needs, maybe 100,000, but he's got very good engagement. And all he does is do pictures of things being cooked. But boy, they sure look good. Oh,
they do,
man. He does
what
one
are those taqueritos
every day.
Taqueritos?
This is today's. Yeah, look at that.
Taquitos.
Starts with tomatillos, and then you blend them up in the Cuisinart. You make some tomatillo sauce. You cook up some chicken with some paprika. You shred it. You put in the tomatillo sauce. You roll that up in a little tortilla, and you fry that. Then you put some avocado and some tomatillo sauce, and you pour it over the top with a little sour cream.
Is he fully self-taught?
Yeah.
Hank?
Yeah. I said, look, if you want to go to the Culinary Academy, just tell me. I will sponsor you because I want you to cook this for me.
Yeah.
For me.
He's like, I don't need this kind of pressure.
Yeah. 122,000 likes on this one. That's pretty good. That's getting there. That would put up this morning at 9 a.m. So it's funny.
All those people should be following him.
Yeah, follow him.
Those 70,000 who aren't yet following him,
follow Hank. Salt_Hank. Follow the man. Follow the man. 60,000 followers.
I don't
now.
think I could follow him just because I look at that and now I'm like, I need to
I'm
follow
not signed
this.
in. I know. That's it makes you hungry.
I can't look at that and not, like tonight I'm making like chicken and broccoli. That is.
I know. It really puts you to shame, doesn't it? And then I said, but Hank, because he doesn't put I said, you need to do, because I see this with other TikTokers, captions. He said, no, man, it spoils the flow. He says, I put the captions on Instagram. So he has a multi-pronged approach. So the recipe is on Instagram. And then I said, well, also you're going to need to post it on YouTube. And so that's his trick.
That's smart.
Isn't that smart? I said, that's good because you don't want to be dependent on any one platform. That much I've learned in my career.
How long does it, so that one that he made there?
He makes one every day.
How long does it take him to make it?
Yeah, I guess a few hours. He's a very good editor now. So I don't know exactly, but he says he does one every day. So it is his full-time job, apparently. No, actually,
living
no.
the dream.
I am not. I'm not gonna say that. It's not fair. He takes gigs doing. He shoots weddings. He did like 4 or 5 weddings this month. He shoots weddings. He does drone stuff. He does other stuff. But it's all gig. I feel like this generation. What about your son? Is it gig work yet, or does he want to have a 9 to 5?
Gig would be nice, but the problem with gig is you got to sell yourself constantly.
It's hard work, much harder work. And you're tempted to work more than 40-hour weeks.
You don't want to turn down anything because you don't know what's coming next or not coming next.
Sure.
I don't know. What do you think, Aunt? What do you think your boys will do? Take a 9 to 5 or become gig workers?
I think they're going to start out 9 to 5, but they both seem to have an entrepreneurial spirit and want to do their own.
I think that's that generation.
But they want to. They also understand. You know what? I need to build up to that.
Right.
So
my kids just said, build up, schmilled up. I'm going straight into it. I'll build up on dad's dime.
Well, see, I think that being able to build up to it is beneficial because you could learn from.
You got to work.
Other people.
I agree. It's great to
learn from mistakes that you make.
I agree. I learned my work ethic working at McDonald's. I mean, it really, having to show up at a job having a boss, all that stuff is not fun necessarily, but you do learn a lot.
When I used to work in the birdseed plant and do roofing, I learned that I didn't want to do that the rest of my life.
Yeah, that's the other thing you learn.
Roofing?
Roofing's the worst. Anything having to do with hot tar.
Well, not just hot tar, but you can fall.
Yeah, this was commercial buildings. The biggest project that I did was Furman University.
Oh, nice.
Their at the time new basketball arena was being resurfaced, and I was up on that with the team.
Oof. My
I didn't want to do that the rest of my life.
Now, see, it's funny that Jeff should have focused on that because I'm much more interested in the birdseed shop. Were you in charge of millet?
Well, no, it wasn't it wasn't a shop. It was an actual plant where
making
I was stacking. Yeah, they had all of these big silos and everything gets mixed together and dropped into bags. And I was stacking 50-pound bags of seed all day long onto pallets. That was it. Yeah. Grab it off the line, stack it onto a pallet, forklift comes and pick it up. That's it. Just 50 pounds over and over.
I wanted you to say, no, I was the millet man. I was in charge. I was working my way up to sunflower seeds.
Millet and thistle.
Someday I hope to do suet. But right now I'm working on my millet.
Millet, thistle, and corn. Those are the big ones.
You did Timmins Arena?
No, it was Audubon Friends. I think it was called Audubon Friends.
At Furman. In beautiful
I want to say
Greenville,
Scott's ended up buying them out. The lawn people, I think Scott's ended up buying them out.
You know, I went to the FurmanPaladins.com site and they said, "You're running an ad blocker?" It's like, wait a minute. You're kidding me. Yeah, no ad blockers allowed. Oh, man. I had to whitelist them.
University.
Big, I thought, really good takedown. Cory Doctorow had two links to his pluralistic.net blog today. This is the other one. End of the line for Uber. I thought this was really good. He says, Uber is a bezel, Bezzle. It's a term I wasn't familiar with. He defines it as the magical interval when a confidence trickster knows he has the money, but the victim does not yet understand he has lost it.
Oh.
And he makes a very strong case and quotes a blog that has been for the last several years talking about this, Uber's, it's nakedcapitalism.com, Hubert Horan, 26 analyses of Uber and their quarterly results. And the conclusion Hubert comes up with, as well as Cory, is this was never designed to make money. You know, we all think, oh, yeah, Uber's going to make money someday, maybe when self-driving vehicles. Never.
Well, that was said of Amazon as well in its day.
Yeah, but there is no path to profit for Uber. He said the pretense that self-driving cars would eliminate their labor costs, they knew this would never happen. They spent billions on a doomed effort, then had to bribe another company with a $400 million investment to take its window dressing away. They sold it. Uber didn't need self-driving cars. It needed us to think it would have self-driving cars. That way the company's Saudi owners could raise investment capital from subsequent investors, also known as suckers, says Cory, all the way up to the IPO cash out and walk away whistling innocently. He says Uber's almost out of cash at this point. And, Uber loses, as we've mentioned many times before, a lot of money, billions, but it claims it's making money. He says, how does it do this? Well, it lies.
Simply.
Uber eschews boring old, generally accepted accounting practices. Stacy knows that as GAAP. GAAP. And invents fanciful new forms of mathematics where losing money is good, actually.
Good stuff, yeah.
Every quarter, it releases new lies laid out like a profit and loss statement. And every quarter, Hubert Horan shows it's losing money. It's mid-2021, Cory says now, and Uber's going broke. Uber bailed or got kicked out of Russia, China, India, and Southeast Asia. So interesting. A true accounting of the last quarter has Uber losing 38 cents on every dollar it took in. 3.7 billion of its assets are actually worthless paper from failing overseas ride-hail companies. Uber's cash reserve declined $4.7 billion in 2020 and $937 million more in the first half of this year. They've got $6.7 billion in the bank, down from $14.6 in 2019. In other words, at this rate, they're going to have a problem. So interesting.
Can you say the same for Lyft?
Yeah, probably. The point Corey's making is, while Uber, the problem with Uber, he says, wasn't just that it was a rapey, crimey, crooked grift. The other problem...
Well, there's that.
The other problem with Uber, I love Cory Doctorow, he's the best writer ever. The other problem with Uber, he's also super smart and analytic. The other problem with Uber is that it's doomed and only exists today because of accounting fraud. And the real problem is it's ruined cities because they've deferred investment in
public transit. And it has made it impossible. Both Uber and Lyft took out all of the competition. And there's, like, we see this actually on Bainbridge Island. There's an argument to be made for local
taxi
services
companies
to arise.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But it's also given work. And every time I've talked to an Uber driver, they're not making a lot of money, but they love the freedom of it.
Right.
I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. And yes, but it might help that small segment of Uber drivers. And I don't think it helps all the Uber drivers. I think there's probably a segment of Uber drivers who it works for them. The rest are there because they have to be, and it is an option, or they try it and they realize it doesn't work for them. Like, I get really mad because my brother is, he's a DoorDash driver, and he's like, I really want to buy a different car because I don't want my car to have all these miles on it. And I'm like, you are just subsidizing their business.
That's exactly right.
You're subsidizing on the back of a person who is not financially savvy. He's very poor. I mean, it makes me very angry.
You could make the point, Corey does, that Uber has victimized drivers. They've also victimized restaurants because using SEO to trick people into thinking they were ordering from restaurants directly. Remember, Uber would set up fake websites with that restaurant's name. Non-consensually opting restaurants into its delivery service, subsidizing meals to set prices below break even. Once Uber had diverted a restaurant's customers into relying on its service, it put the screws to restaurants, forcing them to pay, quote, marketing fees on pain of having searches for their business diverted to Uber-affiliated ghost kitchens. Thousands of locally owned restaurants will not survive the pandemic thanks to this parasitic conduct.
Like doormen in hotels.
And Uber Uber won Prop 22 in California. They spent more than $200 million to get it to pass. I voted for it. I'm having some second thoughts. It formalizes, he says, worker misclassification, allowing employers to fire union workers, rehire them as independent contractors, and take away their pay, benefits, and rights. Horan, by the way, is a transportation analyst. So he has some, knowledge in this. And by the way, Massachusetts, I think, is now going to have its own Prop 22. They're going to vote on the same thing. So I think his point is Uber's going to go away. They're going to run out of money. The con is done. Everybody got rich through the IPOs and so forth. And of course, the investors are going to be the ones that lose their shirts. But they're also going to leave behind them a wreckage of bad city infrastructure, lack of mass transit, restaurants out of business, and underpaid workers who now have cars with a lot of mileage on it and no job.
Well, and I would also say, in addition to all of this, we can't just look at Uber. We have to look at the people who funded them and recognize that this is a pattern that plays out across the industry in terms of saying, we're going to fund winners. We're going to prop these people up with as much money, let them outspend their competition, and then suddenly we're going to pull the rug out from everybody, and they're going to look up and be like, oh, shoot.
Yeah.
Nothing exists.
Well, and he even blames the Wall Street Journal, which basically republished Uber press releases as news stories. uncritically. So there is
We always do that.
Yeah, there's a system. It's called capitalism. It's called late stage capitalism.
I am really distressed about late stage capitalism right now when it comes to the launch of the smart surveillance technologies and the need that we have. Like IoT could totally help us do so many awesome things, like track pollution. It could help create circular economies where we're actually smartly like fertilizing our plants and all that good stuff, right? But we can't believe any of this because the companies that are trying to sell us these things, they just greenwash or say that this is happening.
Right.
But a lot of the services they're building just feel like they're trying to nickel and dime us to death. And it's such a frustrating dynamic.
I think it's wishful thinking to call it late stage capitalism. I don't think it's late stage at all.
It's just capitalism, plain old capitalism.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's unregulated. You know what it is? It's unregulated unfettered capitalism.
Unfettered.
Because I believe in capitalism.
Unfettered is a better word.
I think the market has brought us a lot of innovation. Not everything should be in the market. Healthcare is a good example. For-profit healthcare clearly doesn't deliver good results. But, in general, it's a great engine for innovation, and it's done very well by us. But there are problems with it, and if it's unfettered, it becomes predatory. And I think this is a good example of predatory capitalism. So maybe it's not late stage. Maybe it's just, maybe it started with tulip bulbs. I don't know. Let's play some drums and do the Google changelog.
The Google changelog.
I love that guy. I got to find out whose voice that is. He's
the
good.
The voice sounded different to me just then. I don't know why.
Did.
John,
it did.
Was around, John? Didn't it?
It's the same exact one we've always played.
You agree?
No, it sounded different.
It sounded different.
Yeah, it did sound different.
I don't know.
John, you've been doing something funny to us?
He put some EQ on it or something.
Well, Google changelog.
I'm glad I'm not crazy. All three of us said it sounded different.
I think you're all three crazy is the only logical conclusion.
Hey.
Play it again, John.
Play it again.
Play it again, Sam.
The Google changelog.
It did. I think it's EQ in Zoom or something.
I think somebody kidnapped the Google changelog guy.
He was out there smoking a cigarette just a few minutes ago. I thought I saw him. He came running in. It looked like this.
Maybe it's the mask makes it sound different. I don't know.
Oh, right.
He does have to wear a mask now. The Pixel 5a coming soon. Just in time for you not to buy it.
Give me the Pixel 6a.
Yeah.
$450. Google has apparently confirmed it. The device set to launch in 2 markets, the U.S. and Japan, on Thursday. This part is the rumor. On Thursday, August 26th, for purchase online or in Google stores. No carriers, apparently. 6.4-inch display, 60 hertz. I guess you can force 90, but you have to force it. Snapdragon 765G, a 4,650 milliamp hour battery, no wireless charging, 6 gigs of RAM, same camera as the Pixel 5, IP67 rating. It will have a headphone jack.
Woo.
Please, Google, put a headphone jack in the 6. I'll buy 2 if you do that.
That would be no.
Google, please.
Aunt, would you like a headphone jack?
I would, because it definitely sounds better, but at the same time, I'm sort of used to having earbuds for phone calls.
I know. I really like headphones. I actually bought an expensive $115 DAC converter.
Oh, nice.
To plug into my phones.
Yeah.
So I can plug in headphones. It sounds better. It's a good DAC.
Yeah.
But geez, you shouldn't have to buy a $150 accessory.
But okay, Mr. Laporte, you're going to make me ask. So you put a DAC on your phone.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you rather listen to that music in your home on your much bigger, nicer speakers?
But sometimes you like you're in an airplane or whatever, you want to have good quality. And I use those Sennheiser i300s, which are really good earbuds. Sounds so much better than a Bluetooth solution.
I agree.
So my daughter, when I play music fully in the home, she hates it because it doesn't sound normal.
sound right.
She prefers crappy audio.
So sad.
Oh, she wants the tinny sound.
Or even the phone. She's like, I like listening to music on my phone. I was like out loud on the speaker. She's like, yeah, I think it sounds good.
It's not just her. It's not just her. Michael's friends, 18 years old, they're listening. They're playing the Beatles on his phone. And I said, I have Bluetooth speakers if you want, or we can put it on the stereo and it'll really sound. No, we like it this way.
Oh.
Kids today, what's wrong with them?
They should understand vinyl. Vinyl was the way to listen
we're
to
not
music.
going that far. But really, phone speaker is not the best
which
speaker.
I was like, really?
My generation, and Jeff's too probably, I mean, we listen to transistor radios, right? All of our original music.
With big antennae.
And that's, by the way, true. I remember reading about Keith Richards' autobiography talks about listening, to pirate radio on the BBC on a little tiny tinny speaker, but that's what he heard and he loved it still. So maybe, I don't know.
Yikes.
I don't know. Anyway, the Pixel's launching with a headphone jack. That's the story. Hey, here's a great story. I love this. Google is launching a program. Microsoft's done this. Some banks do this to hire more people with autism. They're teaming up with Stanford to make its workforce more neurodiverse. This is fantastic. I have friends who have autistic kids who are great workers. They're honest. They're hard workers. Because of their neurodiversity, there's some things that they don't handle well, like sometimes interactions with people, but they are really good at doing the jobs they're assigned. Google Cloud's Autism Career Program will work with experts from the Stanford Neurodiversity Project to train as many as 500 Google Cloud managers and others who are integral in the hiring process to work more effectively with candidates who have autism. I would say there's probably a lot of people on the spectrum in Google already.
Oh, I would imagine, yes.
But this is a really important, I think, very, very good. I think this is a big step in general. And Wesley Faulkner's been on our shows talking about this. He gave a great speech about neurodiversity, that we have these notions that everybody should be the same. And if we can embrace neurodiversity, sometimes that's where genius comes from.
The worst pressure, I think, on all of us, and especially on our kids today, is the idea of normal.
Normal. It's a terrible idea.
No one is normal. There isn't such a thing as normal. It's a construct that holds them to something so that when they all feel abnormal, because we all are, because there isn't a normal, it puts terrible pressure on them.
I've had that same conversation with my kids. And that's the problem in a way with social media, because everybody puts that best picture, the best face forward. Aren't I having a great life? And
that's not even normal.
I
compare
think
yourself
there's
to
a lot
that.
of kids, and I see a lot of like TikTok and other social media videos that celebrate people who they're just like, I have ADHD. This is what I do.
I think we're
Or
moving in that
people
direction.
being
Yeah, I think
goodness.
we are. I think it's
Weird.
great.
Yeah,
I think that's good to see because I'm not seeing that.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe it's part of my weird algorithm. They're like, Stacey likes goofy people,
More
animals.
TikTok, Ant. More TikTok. I'm telling you.
Well, no, I take that back. From an Instagram standpoint, Instagram is doing much better with eliminating selfies and things like that to me. But it was a lot of the whole braggadocious type
I
of
really
stuff
don't like
that
the influencer thing, but I
that I
think
always saw, and I
I hope
hated
we're
it.
getting away from that.
Because it's a stupid business model.
Well, and frankly,
Well, there's lots of influencers doing different things. Like I'm following a bunch of curly-haired influencers
Right.
because I have curly hair, and I'm like, oh, I will totally buy that thing you
I
said.
love curly hair.
used.
Curly hair's the best hair.
Our daughter
nothing-
just convinced my wife to let her go with the curls.
Yeah,
And
please.
we're all very happy with
Gorgeous.
it. Yes.
But this is nothing new. I mean, magazines with photoshopped or retouched photos on the cover have been the problem for years, causing body image issues and so forth. So this is nothing new. But yeah, I'm really glad. In fact, maybe in the long run, this is what Jeff's been saying, is this is going to be a positive trend because neurodiversity will be celebrated on social net media, and people will feel a little bit like, oh, I guess I'm not so weird.
And the other thing that happens, and Dana Boyd has always been great about this, talking about her own childhood, is that the internet allowed her to find that she wasn't the only person in the world like this.
Yeah.
Yes.
There wasn't a question of normal. It was just a question of finding others who shared her view of herself and how valuable that was and how saving that is. And so to me, that's one of the greatest things about the internet. And Facebook has screwed it up, no doubt. But one of the advantages of being able to find people like you is it's not echo chambers. It's being able to say, I'm not alone. And to find people you can share with. And that has tremendous value. And this is why I extol the courage and value of sharing and being open, is because you can't connect with somebody until you share that about yourself.
I would submit that we exist because of that, especially back in the late 90s when Tech TV started. You know, we made it cool to be geeky, and people would watch it. I could hear from people all the time as teenagers who felt alone in their kind of passion for technology and geekiness, and they found Tech TV and they said, "Oh, this is great. I'm not alone." So even geeks have felt ostracized. They're a little less so these days because technology is everywhere.
Tell me, Leo, be honest now. Were you really a geek in high school?
Oh, yeah. I was like you, Stacey. I was a little bit of a drama nerd. I wanted to be an actor.
I can see that.
Yeah, and I got into radio because of that, right? That was the performing part of it. So in college, I was in radio. But I was always, I was a chess nerd.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. Sold.
And then I played a lot of tournaments. In fact, the day before my wedding, I played in the U.S. Open, which my future wife was not crazy about. But no, I was a very serious chess player. And then I found computers, and that was transformative. That was, though, remember, I'm old enough that was, the personal computers were only by the time I was in my early 20s when I got my first personal computer. But boy, once I got
I just donated. I went to the magnificent, I'll give them a plug, but magnificent Museum of Printing in Haverhill, Mass. I've been there a couple times now. Frank Romano is the founder of it. He just turned 80 years old. He's a wonder of nature, and they have a linotype there and all these machines that I absolutely love. And I went there.
You're a linotype nerd. That's what you are.
I am a linotype nerd to be sure. And so I just donated. He said, I'm looking for an Osborne 1. And I had this out-of-body experience like, Jeff, how much does it matter to you versus the good it'll do for Frank? So I donated my Osborne 1 and my Morrow Pivot to the Museum of Printing in Haverhill, Mass. No, the Pivot was a piece of crap.
Well, but we wanted one.
Yes.
It was a cheap Osborne, that's why. We had an Osborne for a while. All the rubber had decayed. We had it in our museum here in the old studio, but all the rubber had decayed. It was kind of falling apart. But boy, when those came out, I wanted one so bad. It had a screen literally this big, in green and black, but it came with WordStar. It came with all the apps you needed, right? WordStar on floppies, because it had
two floppies, one for the program.
It was a
and
portable,
one for
the size of a sewing machine.
You had to load the operating system, then load the program.
It was DOS,
and it cost me, I think it was $17.95.
Yep,
was the retail cost of it, which I bought. And then my printer, I could get
it's like a Samsung foldable phone.
Yes.
Exactly. Except that was also the cost at the time of a Toyota Corolla. But be that as it may.
It was very expensive. Yeah.
And then I bought an impact printer because editors would take the stop matrix crap. That was $2,300.
Oh, those were so expensive. I bought the first Apple laser writer when it came out in '86, I think, and that was $3,000, something like that. It was very expensive. But man, was that cool. I had a friend, they were so expensive and so rare. I had a friend who made his living driving a van with a laser printer in it and a Mac, going around doing mobile desktop publishing for people. He'd pull up in the van and said, all right, give me your...
I'll sharpen your knives, too.
Put out that newsletter. Google
Bring your floppy.
Bring your floppies. Floppies, get your floppies here. Bring your floppies. Desktop publishing. I've got Sans. I've got Serif. I've got them all. Come on. Laser printed while you wait.
I got Serif.
I got Serif. I got Sans. I can do it all. CNBC reported that Google has been buying up land in northern San Jose, $389 million on what they plan to make a hardware research and development center. They call it Midpoint Campus because it's midpoint between Google's Mountain View headquarters and that beautiful new mixed-use campus they just built in San Jose. It'll have 5 office buildings that will serve as a hub for the hardware division, including Nest smart home products. That's important because it means Google is committed to continuing in hardware. That's a serious business.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Did you hear anything about Google buying or going into the old Birkenstock building in Nevada?
Yeah, that building, which you and I drive by all the time, is actually, I've been around long enough to remember, it used to be a school book depository for, I can't remember which publisher, I think it was Houghton Mifflin. It used to be the Houghton Mifflin building. And then Birkenstock bought it. And it just shows you how times have changed. Print books, sandals. What's next?
Here's my old Jeff moment of the day. This morning I went to the podiatrist because my feet are messed up because I'm old and I'm limping. And
do you have bunions?
I got bunions. I got Morton's neuroma.
Oh, Morton's neuroma.
Heel spurs.
Oh, man.
I got hammer toes. Aren't you glad you asked?
You got hammer toes.
I got hammer toes.
How did you get all this? You didn't wear heels? What is happening?
Good grief. And you've been at home for a year.
I walk like a
I'll
duck.
scrape your feet for you. I got a van out back. Come on.
So here's where he sent me. I'm ashamed. I went and bought myself Crocs today.
Oh, no. Crocs are great.
No, I know. I never wanted to wear Crocs.
They're comfy.
I'm not a Croc person. Do I look like a Croc person? I'm not a Croc person.
Those are good
are
Crocs,
better than
though.
the ones my kids love.
Those Crocs don't
and
look
Queen
like,
Pruitt
they're
loves.
not like the orange Crocs with perforations. They look like restaurant Crocs. They look good.
Yes.
Yeah, those look nice.
By the way,
Hey, Jeff, you can get a bunch of little charms to put in those holes.
I know.
Please don't.
That was a whole new thing to
Please
me.
don't.
and here's the good news.
You could get a little Gutenberg printer.
You want to, if those Crocs get a little smelly, a little dirty, you just put them in the dishwasher, run a regular cycle, man. They are clean as a whistle. Sorry, Stacy. Google Fiber ending TV service in Austin.
Oh,
That's okay.
Yeah, who cares?
And Atlanta.
But they're still doing the internet. That internet's going somewhere, I think, someday. Google, we mentioned this earlier, but this is the completion of the Google changing things on YouTube and so forth. They're going to restrict, I think we've mentioned this before, but they're going to restrict ad tracking for kids under 18, among the other things. We didn't mention that one, so I'll throw that one in there. According to changes in ad targeting, Google also says it's expanding safeguards to stop age-sensitive ad categories, whatever those are, from being shown to teens. Teens under 16 will not be. You can't ad target them based on interests or activity, only on age, gender, and location. Oh, well, that's a relief.
I would like for y'all to know that the Crocs charms are called gibbets. That is all.
Gibbets.
Oh, thank you. I feel younger already.
Giblets or gibbets?
Gibbets. Jibbitz.
How many
There's
of those have you had to buy, Stacy, for your daughter?
Oh, I haven't had to buy any. I was just looking for something for you because if I could find you a printing press, I'm going to do it.
It's kind of an interesting. Choice of a name, gibbets, because you may remember that in the 17th and 18th century, gibbets were any instrument of public execution, including guillotine, executioner's block, impalement stake, hanging gallows, or related scaffold. Yeah, but it's pronounced the same.
I didn't know that. I always thought it was gibbets.
GIF. Maybe it's a gibbet.
Gibbeting.
Is it a GIF or a GIF?
Gibbeting refers to the use of a gallows-type structure from which dead or dying bodies of criminals were hung on public display.
Well, the show is certainly taking a friendly turn.
Well,
now.
it's similar. No. I'm trying to. So the gibbet in your shoe is related to the gibbet they used to hang prisoners on so that you wouldn't commit crime. Now you hang it on your shoes so you don't commit grime.
Okay.
You can get I Love Taco Tuesday.
I do.
That's a nice pattern.
I do. I
That
love
would
it.
work for him.
Yes.
So it's gibbets with a J and a Z.
A J, two B's, and an ITZ.
ITZ.
Gibbets.
Gibbets. Yeah, I guess that's not quite the same as a gibbet.
I got your bits right here.
Get your gibbets. Desktop
title.
printing, serif, sans serif, gibbets. Oh, look at all these
Are we
things.
still in a changelog? I forget.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to
changelog
derail
tends
this,
to
but I'm
be-
delighted
I
by
think it's
Jeff
my
having
Somewhat
Crocs.
discursive. Yeah. You should. You're the one who complained, Jeff. You're the one who brought up your podiatrist.
Yeah, I did it. It's my fault.
Google is adding air quality info to the Nest Hub and Hub Max. That's just in time for our wildfires.
Considering this
Thank
time
you.
of year, yeah, good stuff.
I actually went out and bought 2 purple air sensors, one indoors, one outdoors last time. So we would know.
Y'all are going to love my pick this week.
Or I even made my own little web page for the air quality in my neighborhood so that I could quickly load this on my website and find out what the air quality is nearby and in our home.
You are such a nerd.
Yeah, home outside, home inside. Meadow School, Corona Creek School. It seems like only schools in our area have it. But notice there's a nice confluence of all the numbers.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's good.
good stuff.
It's like a double check. Google is rolling out now. Oh, I got to do this. Beta 4 for the Pixel phone, for the public beta. They had the developer edition rolled out yesterday. Now you can get beta 4. I guess we're getting close to Android 12. This is the platform stability release. So, in other words, they're now shifting their focus from bug fixes to polish. Platform stability milestone sees app-facing behaviors and non-SDK interface restrictions finalized. API level 31 is locked. We're in final compatibility testing, getting close. I've been using it on my Pixel. Let me see. It's not, I do like the theming thing that's the only thing I can really see that's different. Let me see if I have it here. I just did a system update. Yep, system update available. Android 12 SPB 4.210715.011. All right, I'll install it right now. Installing system update. Google adds an interactive periodic table of the elements.
Ooh.
How many times have you wondered what is the atomic number of lead? All you have to do is search, and here you go. This is from the Art
All I know is
Experiments
PB.
with Google.com. PB, you're right. Very good.
Papa Bravo.
This is
Bravo.
exciting.
Yeah,
It
it's
is.
cool.
There's some trivia about various of the elements.
Yeah.
Right.
So I own a book that is dedicated to the elements, and I bought my daughter Elements flashcards
Elements
because
is so
chemistry
cool.
is so
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. That was one of
but yeah,
the
this
early
is fun.
iPad apps. It was so cool as Elements, and it was.
Oh yeah.
Remember that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this is kind of neat. Thank you, Google.
But in the escape room, I actually had to use the molecular weight for lithium as part of my clue.
How did you find it? Were you allowed to use a browser?
There was a periodic table on the board, but I remembered it from chemistry. We had to memorize
Wait
the
a
weight
minute.
of
You
all.
remembered the
Good.
atomic weight of lithium?
Just lithium and like hydrogen and oxygen. I mean, like just the basics.
What is?
I don't know either one.
Not any of the fancy ones.
You might remember the number, like it's number 3 because it's hydrogen, helium, lithium. But the atomic
Yes.
weight, atomic mass is 6.941.
6.1. Yeah.
You knew
I
that?
was going to say 9.3.
Well, that's close enough.
Wow.
Wow.
Not for the escape room.
Oh, you would not have escaped. What's the boiling point of lithium?
I don't know the boiling point.
1,330 degrees Celsius. That's hot. It doesn't melt till 180.
What's the boiling point of lead?
Where is PB on this thing here? There it is.
Peanut butter.
82. The boiling point of lead is 1,749 degrees, but it will melt at 327. That's why you can make lead soldiers on your stove, as I have mentioned before.
And that's why Gutenberg used it. Got it in.
Oh, because he could melt it. Oh,
Of course.
that's cool. Oh, there's quite a. It's hot, says John.
All right. Where are we going?
I'm going back through.
I think it's about done, isn't it?
Well, it is, but
Change
there's
log.
also Scooter X's changelog.
Oh, right. Okay. Yes.
No, his changelog is quite good. I'm not going to lie.
He is really good. Google Home
Very good.
2.42 adds, Nest Cam doorbell support, and Preps, I think this is exciting, setting per device on DNS. And I guess when they say ADT is, what is that? What is that support for ADT, the alarm
Google
company?
did a deal with ADT for their gear, and so now you can get
you have
Nest
an
stuff
ADT alarm.
as part of.
This is cool. So you can use Google's public DNS server instead of the router's provided DNS for your device. I guess
For my
that's...
Nest devices only?
Yeah, per device DNS.
What would be the advantage of that? Is that just to prevent lower latency, prevent ads? I mean,
Yeah.
it seems weird for
what it
dedicated
is?
devices.
It's for Google to say, hey, you could just use our DNS, then we'd know what you were up to.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Okay.
Okay. Anyway, lots of new features coming to the Google line. This is the Scooter X changelog.
Maybe it's his voice we're hearing.
You
Maybe he snuck in.
Yeah, I don't know what. I've met
What
him,
does Scooter
but I
X
don't know
sound
what
like?
it sounds like. I can't remember. What do you sound like, Scooter X?
YouTube for Android now lets you skip video chapters with a 2-finger double tap.
Well, the name like Scooter X, you should sound like that. I know you.
Probably sounds like Rocky. Not that Rocky. Hail Mary Rocky.
I did not like the Suicide Squad movie, but Sylvester Stallone plays a giant rubber shark, and that's pretty fun.
Oh boy.
Okay.
That is in our queue to watch though, because she liked the original one, and I told her the original movie was bad too.
It's merely not my cup of tea. That's all I'm saying. Here, let me see if I can find you a little something to get our show taken down.
Right.
So smart, me.
Shark.
Yay.
And I'm smart.
Jammer B says it's great.
He loved it. A lot of people loved it. Just not my cup of tea. I'm not a comic book nerd. It just didn't resonate for me. But, I think a lot of people enjoy it. And that is Scooter X's changelog.
Well done, Scooter X.
What did we miss?
Just looking at this. Google, actually, I should have added this to changelog. Google TV will now be on the new TCL 6 and 5 series TVs. They're still going to do Roku on some TVs, but they've added Google TV. And actually, that's pretty cool. I think that's a good thing.
Are people trusting TCL televisions now?
Did we not trust them?
I thought at one point they were controversial because of the whole China connection.
Well,
the OS having exploits.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they're spying on us like every other smart TV. That's why they're
All righty then.
Yeah, that's why they're smart. I mean, honestly,
I like the TCL brand. At least they put a lot of things out there that are budget friendly and they look and work.
The 6 series is, everybody agrees, fantastic. 120 hertz, 4K, and they also offer, and it's inexpensive for big sizes. And they also, I think, are going to do an 8K, if not already, soon.
Man,
yeah. Here's a 6 series with Google TV, 65 inches, $1,299. If you don't have a big TV yet, it's mini LED, uses QLED, 4K, UHD, smart TV with Google built in. That's not bad. I got my mom. I got my mom 2 of them because
that's a steal.
I have one in her bedroom, one in her living room, so that the Chinese can see what she's up to.
They'll get back to you.
Yeah, let me know. I think unless you guys, Jeff, I've been giving you some time to refer me to any line. Okay.
What about Twitter?
Twitter Spaces introduces co-host feature. Twitter AI bias contest shows beauty filters hoodwink the algorithm. I'm going to save this one for a pick because this looks pretty cool. Well, we could do it now. Tweet Shelf. Who found this?
That's Mr. Jarvis.
Somebody said it on. I put it in there. I forget who it was on Twitter. Said, "Oh, I misnuzzled terribly, but Tweet Shelf is almost there."
So the whole idea of nuzzle was it would go through your tweets, the people you follow, and give you news based on what your friends were tweeting and friends of friends were tweeting and so forth. So this is doing the same thing. I just logged in, so it's actually going through all my my feed right now and building it. It says this might take a few minutes.
There's also a pro version, so I couldn't get like the links off my lists, which I value greatly.
Oh, I would love to have the list.
COVID and my book history works list.
So what is the $5.99 a month is a little pricey. God, everything costs money these days.
Yep.
It's because the original benefit or the original internet was not tenable if we don't want to give up our data.
This information is free. You can get that anywhere, everywhere. Lots of it.
But if you would like to pay $7 a month, we wouldn't turn it down. And being a member of Club Twit,
very good cause,
is really a good thing. Club Twit is something we set up because people told us they didn't want to hear any more ads and they didn't want to hear the tracking. And then advertisers told us they didn't want to buy any more ads. So it was a perfect time to introduce an ad-free version of our shows. But you know what? When there's no ads in the shows, there's no money to be made. So we're, it costs us a lot of money to run the studio and have 20 employees, et cetera, et cetera. So we set up Club Twit as a way to support Twit, which should make you feel great, makes us feel great. But you also get ad-free versions of all of our shows, audio and video. You get access to our fantastic Discord, which is a heck of a lot of fun. And you get Twit Plus content that no one else gets in a special feed just for you. Things like pre-show conversations, the Giz Fizz, the Untitled Linux Show, and a whole lot more. And we'll have a big announcement for the club soon.
Oh.
Really?
But I won't say anything because I don't know if it's public yet. Okay. Oh, here's my stories. View my stories. Welcome back. So this is tweetshelf.com. This is the free version. That's, I think I'm thrilled because I really miss Nuzzle. It's a little more bare bones than Nuzzle, but it looks more like a feed, which is nice. This is good. And it has a link to the tweets, all the stories, its articles, websites, books. I kind of like this.
Sort of looks like your old school RSS reader.
It's like Sumi.news. Yeah, it is. It is basically, that's what the premise of Nuzzle was. It's kind of like a feed derived from your Twitter. This is much more like a real RSS feed. I like this. Oh, I might have to go premium on you.
I don't know who's behind it. Well, we saved you from buying a $2,000 phone today, so you can afford it.
Yeah, at that price, I can afford 10 years of this. All right, let's...
Hold on. The Twitter AI one, I thought that was a good kudos for Twitter.
Let me finish, though. I forgot to say, if you wanted... I forgot the payoff. If you want to join Club Twit, twit.tv/clubtwit.
by their fingernails waiting to hear this.
Take my money. Twit.tv. We really appreciate it. Actually, we have some great members. I don't know what the number is so far, but it's I think it's around 3,000 or 4,000. And I really, it's wonderful to have you all.
Thank you all. I'm
really
serious.
Thank you,
every one of you.
Bless you. You keep this show afloat. Because we only had one ad, so that gives you some idea. Yep. Twitter AI bias contest shows beauty filters hoodwink the algorithm. What does that mean, Ant? Explain.
Well, they put on a contest to see how images and things are being pushed in the Twitter feed, even down to how Twitter crops some images out. And they did this contest because they wanted to make their AI better. And two people figured out, okay, this is what's happening and this is why this is happening. And Twitter said, you know what? Thank you. We need to fix this and get this better and give people a better Twitter from an image standpoint.
Twitter it got in a little trouble earlier this year because people found out it's cropping algorithm favored images of white people over black people. That's not
that was
good.
One of them.
Yeah.
Or age, or people that were older. It was cropping out older people.
Yeah.
Too.
So, tell me, I never understood. Where is it cropping that? Not being a power user.
It's in the app. So you don't see the whole photo. They just crop what it thinks is the most important part
and
of
it
the
tries
photo.
to find the most important part.
Right. Which is fine from an AI standpoint to try to, make the subject stand out in the image, but at the same time,
I see. So here's an example. I'm looking at a tweet, and the picture isn't the whole picture. This is when I click on the picture, I get the much more of the picture. But they've decided to center it on that. I get it. People. Yeah.
That'd be my bet. That's going.
And white people over black people, which is not so good. And in fact,
men over women.
Yeah. In fact, this researcher Bogdan Kulinich found lighter skinned, younger, and slimmer variations. They posted the same photo in a variety of different ways to see how it would be cropped. If you got skinnier, lighter, and younger, it increased your salience score by 35, 28, and 29% respectively. So big difference,
I just like the fact that we've talked about AI and the bias in AI for the last year and a half, and said these companies, they need to do better and they need to hire people that look more like me to help get this better. And here's Twitter saying, you know what, we got to get this right. So how about someone help us out, and thank you for helping us out. Let's get this in action.
Yeah, and credit to Twitter because they sponsored the contest. The prize was $3,500.
This was like a bug bounty. They called it a bug bounty for algorithmic bias.
Yeah, that's good for them. And won by a researcher from Switzerland. That is a good one. Thank you, Ant.
Thank you.
Didn't know that's what you meant, or I would have gone straight to it.
He said Twitter, AI. Oh, boring.
Oh, God.
Twitter, no.
Twitter. And now we're going to take a break and come back with Picks of the Week next. Stacey Higginbotham kicks off our Picks of the Week, as she always does, with something we like to call Stacey's Thing.
Okay, so the thing I have for you is the 3M Filtrete air filters. I got 2 of them, and since we were talking about air quality sensors, I thought this was a fun device. I can take you to show it to you. I have 2 versions. I have a big version that's designed for like a big room, and then I have a smaller version that is designed for like a bedroom.
Filtrete. Filtrete. Filtrete.
Yes, and so it's Wi-Fi connected. Here's the app.
A Wi-Fi connected air filter.
Yeah. So what it's telling me is it's telling me 2 things. One, I can just go in and I'm like, oh, it's not on right now. But it's telling me my air quality is really good right now in my family room. And it tells me my filter life. And
I should compare
it lets me
this.
set timers.
I should compare this to the purple.
This is where it gets fun. I can also add my outdoor. So right here, it's taking generic AQIs from the area, but I can add a purple sensor to this app, and then it'll just pull directly from my purple sensor to tell me exactly what the air is outside of my home.
That is so cool.
And so this is, again, as we head into wildfire, I'm really interested to see what happens, because right now it's clear that the filter is degrading by 1 percentage point each day.
It's kind of nice to know that. Yeah. You just guess normally.
But it also, usually it'll tell you at some point, and it'll give you your actual parts per million. Let's see, pull this back some. I don't know if you can see that. It's the 2.5, and it's
nice.
It's parts per million for 2.5 micron particles, 10 micron particles.
So they've got a little chip in there. That's pretty neat.
Yeah, it's tracking your particulates. What it isn't tracking, though, is VOCs. So if you're familiar with air quality monitors, there's like the Aware that tracks carbon dioxide and VOCs. This does not do that. This particular one, for their air quality index, they're giving us goes from 0 to, I want to say like 200 and something.
This is great. I need to order filters, so I'm going to order these. That's really. Are they much more expensive?
You would ask that question, which is a totally reasonable question to ask.
I can't find a price on the website. They just send you here. I'll click a link and it'll probably send me to.
Hold on. Sorry, I'm like.
Smart MPR. They.
I'm good. Oh, that's the filters. I want the.
You pick your size.
Oh my gosh, air purifiers. Here we go.
I'm going to get a 20 by 20, which is pretty darn big. In fact, it's bigger than mine. And let's see, Best Buy has them in stock for, oh Lord, it's always so many clicks. $21.99. That's not bad. I mean, I'm sure that's more than a non-smart filter would be, but still, it's not through the roof. It's not $17.99.
Oh my God, I can't get to a price. This is crazy.
Well,
to me.
I got one. $21.99 for the 20 by 20.
His screen.
Yeah.
You have the ladies menu.
The ladies menu. Ugh.
What's the ladies menu? Oh, that's
The menu
one
they
without
give
prices.
to women with no prices on it.
Is anybody still? That's hysterical. I've never seen that. Do they do
You
that?
haven't actually
still?
seen that? Oh, I used to see it. Yeah.
Really? Wow.
New York.
The ladies
New York
menu.
restaurants.
Oh man. Oh, don't get it on Amazon. Same one on Amazon is $43.98. So shop around, kids. You could be paying twice
I
as much.
feel like that is not the cost of this. I'm gonna just do it.
Best Buy said $21.99. Let's see what Walmart.
No, that's got to be for the filter, not the.
Oh, Walmart $16.50.
Wait, that has to be for the filters,
What else is there?
not the purifier. It's a purifier.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the filters for your air conditioning, which do the same
No,
thing,
I'm
by the
talking
way.
They have a chip
they're
in them
not
that's
Wi-Fi
Bluetooth
connected.
capable.
No, this does too. See, it's got an app and everything.
Whoa.
It's an air filter for your,
You're frustrating, Stacey.
your furnace filter.
No, Filtrete is or 3M is frustrating, Stacey. I'm just trying to. Okay, the purifier is like $80.
So they
Wow,
have
really?
an air purifier as well, but they also, you can buy these inserts. As you know, you change when you have furnaces, you have filters for the intake.
Yep.
And you can change those. You could get these instead, and it has a sensor in it, and it would tell you.
How does it get the power to tell you?
Magic.
There's a Bluetooth sensor in the. It's a battery powered Bluetooth sensor. They're only designed to last for 3 months, so they're not worried about it's a filter.
There's battery in it. Interesting. So
And then you're supposed to
Land
chuck that or
obsolescence.
recycle it.
Land
or
obsolescence.
Do something with it. Well, it's a filter, y'all. That's one of the things. Like 3M's filters, they do their particulate filtration by hydrostatically charging it or something. So over time, the charge dissipates. I don't know if it dissipates at a rate of 1% of the overall efficacy per day, like they seem to indicate. But yeah. Anyway, that's a terrible pick because I don't know how much it costs, and I'm very frustrated with myself.
I
so
don't know,
sorry.
but we found the filters, which is pretty cool. So this is a good example of Twitter bias in the cropping algorithm. Here's a tweet of 90s audition Polaroids from casting director. It features Juliette Lewis, Vince Vaughn, Jason Priestley, but oh my, there's Benicio del Toro, Elijah Wood, Ben Stiller cropped way out of that. So I think there's a Ben Stiller filter.
I was going to say those are all white folks, though.
No, they are all white folks. Billy Bob, look at Billy Bob, man. Woody Harrelson. Anyway, okay, I'm sorry. Thank you, Stacey. That was really interesting.
Sorry. I should have gone with my other pick. I feel bad now.
No.
I was excited by the purple air filter.
I didn't. We're going to show the purifiers because I showed the filters. Here's the purifiers, and we'll just edit that in because Leo did it wrong.
Yeah, those are the ones that I'm testing.
Yeah, and
but I can't find them in their pricing.
Well, you got to go to where to buy, and then you got to say buy now, and then you get the ladies menu, $251.99.
That makes more sense. Yes.
There you go. Not $16.
Well, yeah. I was like, no.
I love it. You got the ladies menu. What is that like? You get that at 21, right? At the Stork Club. I mean, I don't.
The Frenchified places.
Yeah, fancy.
Monsieur, le menu.
Jeff Jarvis, your numéro pour le semaine.
This is completely nonsensical, but I loved it. I saw the headline. I jumped on it. Others, I think, had the same reaction. Pompeii's fast food joint unearthed in 2019 opens to public.
I know. And did you see what they're serving?
Yeah. I'm thinking we can get this stuff. I think we can do it. So they found, and this is a 2019 story. We've seen it, but they're going to open it so people can go to it, which is really neat because it has pictures of chickens.
They're gonna serve the weird food.
No, they're not. But I wish they would.
Chocolate
That's
lava cakes. Come on, molten chocolate cakes.
Oh, that's a good idea. Volcano
that's what
cake.
I thought it was going to be. Was you'd actually be you do it. I mean, what a great business thing. But no, they're just going to open it so you can see it. But yes, they found remnants of duck bones, pigs, goats, fish, and snails in earthenware pots, leading researchers to believe that one of the dishes on the menu was a type of paella. Dozens of thermopolia have been found through the park. The snack bars were mostly used by poorer residents of ancient Pompeii who rarely had a kitchen in their homes. Typical menus included coarse bread with salty fish, baked cheese, lentils, and spicy wine.
I'll take
I
two.
think that sounds quite nice.
It doesn't sound bad
and a
at
little
all.
cacio e pepe, please, too.
Yeah.
It's in Italy.
Yeah. So because the pictures on the counters were so vivid, they hypothesized that was a menu for the illiterate customers.
Or just decorations. They're nice decorations for a restaurant.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jeff.
Has nothing to do with Google. Has nothing to do with technology.
No.
But we talk about food.
Honestly, this show has nothing to do with Google. So you fit right in.
We talk about food all the time. What are you talking about? If they sold waffles, it would be on brand.
We could call this Cacio e Pepe Hour.
Stacy the Waffler.
Anthony Pruitt, would you like to do a pick?
My pick, shout out to Adobe as they're trying to recognize some photographers out there and giving them some a little bit of press and airplay as they brand them their rising stars of photography. And they featured a couple of different people from around the world. And if you click on their Instagram accounts, they're not big accounts, but they're just as talented. And I just wanted to say, kudos to you, Adobe, people, for doing that, because there's so many good photographers out there that don't get recognized. But yeah, this is pretty good list. And thank you, Biscuit, for agreeing.
You woke up, huh? Oh,
no, that was Kylo that was asleep.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's Biscuit. That's the tiny bark.
Yeah.
Next, I just thought I'd have some fun and just say that my Amazon driver is better than yours. So I put a little link in there of a recent Amazon delivery.
You got one of these cameras, and you're now posting video all the time from your driveway cam. It's hysterical. Here's your Amazon driver on wheelies.
Whoa.
Wheelies.
On wheelies. That's pretty cool. There's also one, I don't know where you posted it, of you walking out topless.
Oh yeah, that's on Instagram.
Is that to show your manly physique?
No, not quite. That's on Instagram.
That's hysterical.
I got that.
What kind of camera is this?
That's a Wise. I just use a Wise cam.
Nice. It is pretty cool that your driver has occasion. He must like coming to your house because you've got the little hill he can go up.
I saw that
and wheelie down.
Actually, I heard it because I was in here working, and I've heard it a couple of times. I'm like, "What is that sound?" And then
that really
that particular day, I heard it, and I thought to myself, "Okay, look at the camera.
You got video."
Sure enough.
Yeah, yeah. That's here. Wait a minute, because she's gonna come back out. Oh, that's cool. That's old school cool, man. That is nice. Look at that.
He's going to be on time with his deliveries.
All the way. Yeah, I mean, that's faster than you can run. I put
the other video in there.
Let me see.
162 that you're talking about.
Oh, the one.
Because I put captions on it.
The one of you?
Yeah.
Let's see here. Oh, my. I have crappy posture, it says. You don't have crap. You look good. Come on. That's called a humble brag. Or
Hold on.
In the gait of an old playa from the 70s, like Lil Rel Howery talks about, shaking my head, oh well.
I look so bad.
What do they call it? What do they call it when you pretend that you're saying, "Oh, I have crappy posture"?
Humble brag.
I do have
humble
crappy.
brag.
I do.
It's
have
the opposite of a humble
posture.
brag. It's like because you're self-deprecating, but what you're really saying is, "Look at me.
No, that's all dad bod walking like a robot.
Dad bod walking like a robot.
Man.
I would kill for your dad bod.
I was out there getting a tennis ball because the front porch has a little balcony there, and I like to sit out there and hang out with the dogs. And Biscuit decides to get his tennis ball and bring it out there on the balcony, which was stupid on my part
because he bounces it off. Sure,
and of course he threw it out to the street, so I had to go get it.
I have to say, you also post beautiful images of your family and of yourself, and just your Instagram is a must follow. @_Pruitt.
Please and thank you.
Yeah,
and thank you, sir.
Yeah. Good stuff. Is that Biscuit or Kyla?
That's Biscuit there.
Oh, that's a pretty dog.
Looking all chill.
You got a Biscuit
Unlike
preset.
right now.
That's nice.
Oh yeah, I did make presets for him.
That's great. Love it. Love the pictures.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you all. That concludes this thrilling, gripping edition of This Week in Google. Stacey Higginbotham is at stacyoniot.com. That's her blog. Her newsletter's there. It's free. You must subscribe. It's fantastic. You should also check out the events from time to time she has.
Oh, I'm going to do one on September 14th about RF sensing.
Oh.
Woo, so nerdy.
Oh, wow. Pretty cool. And don't forget the IoT podcast with Kevin Toffel that she does.
Oh, don't forget it.
Yes.
Out on Thursdays. Woo.
Yes. We also thank Jeff Jarvis for joining us, director of the Town Knight Center for Entrepreneurial Journalism at the Graduate School of Journalism at the City University of
New York. New Cuomo-less New York.
And also Frank Sinatra called him a bum.
Yes.
And Pruitt, hands-on photography, twit.tv/hop. And of course, the regular right here and around about town. Thank you, Ann. Thank you, Stacey.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Have a wonderful evening, all. We do this show every Wednesday afternoon, about 2 o'clock Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2100 UTC. Tune in and watch us live or listen live at our live stream. That's twit.tv/live. That's going 24/7. If you're watching or listening live, you should chat live at irc.twit.tv or in our official Discord server if you're a member of Club Twit. Always nice to have you there. After the fact, shows are available on demand at the website, twit.tv/twig. There's also a dedicated YouTube channel. You can find video of every show. And, of course, probably the easiest and best way to get this show would be subscribe. Just find your favorite podcast client and search for This Week in Google. You'll get it automatically the minute it's available. And if your podcast client allows for reviews, please leave us a 5-star so that we know, your friends and family and everybody knows if your affiliation with this very weird show. I've got to go out. I've got some gibbets to buy. But I will see you all next time on This Week in Google. Take care. Bye-bye.
You know what's fun? Android. You know what's even more fun, though? All About Android. That's my show, Jason Howell, along with my co-hosts Ron Richards, Florence Ion, and we welcome guests on each and every week from throughout the Android ecosystem, developers, Googlers, journalists, people who are all geeked out about the Android operating system. We tell you everything you need to know. Twit.tv/AAA every Tuesday. We'll see you there.